All right, I'd like to call the December 18th, 2025 Town of Somerville Design Review Board meeting. First order of business is approval of November meeting minutes. I don't like to make a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. First up is 326 Holiday Drive, new construction of a rooms to go store. Let's make sure you sign in if you're going to speak.
All right, folks, so this is coming before you for final approval. They were previously at the Tree Protection Board and received final on December 2nd. And also came before y'all for preliminary, which they were granted on November 20th. At the previous meeting, the applicant updated the board on changes to the architecture and site, pointing out specific changes driven by the feedback from the Tree Protection Board. The DRB requested that the applicant study the pedestrian experience approaching the building. Specifically, the board asked the applicant to look into enhancing the landscaping at the front of the building, facing the parking lot, expanding the landscape islands, and to provide a sample board when they return for final DRB review. With the tree preservation efforts, changes to the site plan, reduction to the size of the building, and architectural modifications in mind, staff does not have any further comments at this time. The required tree protection plan and photometric plan can be reviewed at a staff level via the site disturbance review, which is the next step in the development process. I'll hand it over to y'all. Is there a slide you want me to jump to?
Maybe the site plan,
Okay.
or the landscape plan. Yeah, landscape sheet. Hey, my name's Charlie Hager. I'm with LJ Engineering. I have Reed Walters here, and we have a representative from Rooms to Go, and our architect, Chris, who you guys know. We just thought we could start by summarizing some of the changes to the site, lay out a plan, landscaping, and then after that, jump into the architecture. All right, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off. The first thing y'all mentioned on the last one was about the sidewalk, and there were some concerns about its placement, and we were asked to study a potential relocation of that to the north side over in that little tree protection area. And we spent a lot of time studying it, trying to find a way to get that to work. And we also had the Tree Protection Board approval that happened between the last time we saw y'all and now. And there was some general concerns about trying to save those trees. And that was a prominent part of their discussion, was that they granted us approval knowing that we could save that big area over there. So they were worried about impacts to the root zones, even outside of the tree circles that you see. We have the same concerns. And ultimately, we feel that the sidewalk in its current location will serve the site well. It provides an accessible path through the site near the cars and the parking spaces, and connects well into the entrance of the store. So we hope that we can get approval from y'all with it in its current location, and that you trust that we did study it and did make every effort to try to put it on the other side. It just didn't really work out, and it didn't seem to meet the intent of the Tree Protection Board. And basically that being a natural area of preservation and a few new plantings. Let's see. One of the other comments was a sense of arrival. And we think we've achieved that with this new plan. We widened the landscaping near the front entrance. And you can see we've also enhanced the landscaping there to really warm up that entryway. And also just have a warmer interaction with the public realm when you're driving by. Let's see. We also, one of the other comments was about the planting area in the front of the store between the sidewalk and the storefront. We were able to add 2 feet there, so now it's at 7 feet, which gives us more room for plantings and the, just the overall intent of things being able to grow and be maintained. And in doing so, we were still able to maintain that safe maintenance area around the back of the store. And we think that we fully had met that concern with this new plan. Let's see. I mean, that's really the gist of like the actual site changes and dimensional changes that occurred. The next set of improvements that we did were related to landscape. And I would like Reed to just speak on some of that.
I think looking back, I know y'all's 2 main concerns were we had crepe myrtles around those outer parking islands, so we swapped those out for the currently horn beams now, which is kind of a little bit of a compromise to make sure that we don't have any issues with trucks going through the parking lot hitting trees, but they're also obviously larger, more maturing trees compared to crepe myrtles. We also added some azaleas throughout the site as requested, as well as we added just generally, I think they're azaleas, but in general shrubs in the center parking islands for landscaping, because I believe those were pretty bare on the previous iteration of the landscaping plan.
Yeah, it's a much more attention to detail about the parking lot landscaping, and we've really packed those medians out and selected trees and plants that y'all referenced and asked us to, even down to putting 2 bald cypresses near the pond, which we thought was a good idea as well.
And the azaleas are reblooming.
Yeah, and a lot of azaleas.
The azaleas are reblooming. They're not just spring azaleas.
So yeah, before we move on, I just want to see if y'all had any questions we could answer, or any other comments that you had from your last review.
I have a couple of questions. I didn't see, and I could have missed it, but I didn't see that you're asking for final, but I didn't see that plant sizes were provided or specified. I didn't see a dumpster detail, didn't see lighting details or a lighting plan, bulkhead detail, and the turf and fire lane detail. Or the, I think you said last time that there was a, the fire lane on the plan north, and I think you talked about what that material would be, but I don't think I saw a detail in there. So if you could maybe start with plant sizes. Were those provided?
I thought there was a key that had.
Yes, is it on the, I don't know if it's like in.
There's a second.
Yeah. I think
It would have been on the the landscape notes and details sheet.
I don't think I saw it. I could have missed it.
Well, is there a certain size you would recommend, and we could just commit to that?
You can work that out with staff.
Okay.
We have requirements on what those sizes would be.
Well, and I mean that, that's what we're trying to do, is get to the point where we can start working through, technical items like that with staff, knowing that like this is our governing document to go by, like our inspiration of number of trees and shrubs and what types and locations. And that, even on lighting, like we are going to fully meet code for that. We're going to work through photometrics and the foot candles and the placements and make sure that it is fully compatible with the UDO and everything at a in a much more technical aspect. So I mean, some of those things we didn't really know if it was appropriate to be like picking over in this hearing, or if that was something we do with
Those
staff.
items, like,
But we certainly aren't asking for any like special favors or exceptions. We are going to fully work with them and know that this will never get approved or built without that. So
those I listed are requirements for DRB. But
Okay.
I mean, I think you could probably work them out with staff, but they are required. Yeah.
Typically, there's a delay with Dominion or whoever's doing the photometric, so that's often something that's.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, plant sizes is a pretty easy one. Dumpster detail. You need to submit a dumpster detail. Lighting plan, we review. Sometimes we let staff have input on that. Bulkhead detail, I think you described it a couple times, but we need to see a detail on that. And like I said, that fire lane
Dumpster.
dumpster, yeah.
well, I believe the renders will show you the character of the dumpster detail, but it may not be like the formal dimensional plan, but yeah, we could get into that. The fire paving, that's a grass paved system, so I mean,
Is it the grass paved, that's the kind of plastic cells
No.
that are around, or is
Well-
it the concrete kind of?
yeah,
mesh?
there's a few different levels you can go, and I mean, that's something we'll continue to work on with the fire loading requirements and the geotech and, you know, the selection of what fill we're gonna put there. There's a little give and take on which specific product, but I mean, it ultimately would feel like grass when you see it and walk on it. But it has the strength to support the big rigs, so.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, as long as, I mean, at the end of the day, as it looks like grass, that's typically what we approve. The ones that are the kind of, looks like almost concrete block, we don't usually approve those. But I mean, it's up to the rest of the board, but that, all those details could probably potentially be worked out with staff. Depends on what everyone else has to say as well.
okay, well, I mean, we certainly would be able to provide that, and we certainly want to continue to work it out with staff and fire. And ideally, no one ever has to drive on it except a lawnmower. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's there just in case. What was the other question?
Plant sizes, dumpster detail, lighting plan, bulkhead detail, turf and fire lane.
All right, well, we obviously don't have those in here. If y'all are willing to take this to final without it, knowing that we will be continuing to work it out with staff, we would really appreciate that. But you know, we're not trying to cut any corners. We're just trying to go in a logical progression, but you know, we are fully committed to meeting all the requirements.
Also bicycle parking, dumpster enclosure. Detail. The location of these yellow dumpster.
Well, yeah, it's right there on the side by the
It's on the
loading
side of the
zone.
building. And it's.
Is that what-
We'll talk dumpster in a minute with,
Well, we don't need to talk about it, just
I can-
go to the staff, staff can approve it right there. If it says the end of the loading zone. I can't read that, but that's where it is, that's fine.
maybe a different plan should be better because the landscape plan kind of grades back the site to focus on the trees.
We keep this moving. Jared, did you have any comments?
There we go.
Yeah, zoom right there by.
Hang on a second. Tammy, you have any comments? Site, Bill, any more site comments?
Just bicycle parking. You'll have to have it.
Peter, any more site comments?
What is the landscape design along 26? Is there a variation? Is it just low green? Can someone describe that?
Did you take that? Do you have the planting?
Along 26.
Yeah, I mean,
There we go.
yeah. I mean, it's like,
North buffer.
because there's the buffer requirement there, so we're kind of varying a little bit because there are the bump outs of the building, so it's kind of centered and more in the holes to kind of alternate. So there are some obviously higher plantings associated with the buffer as well as shrubs. I'm not,
There are
Yeah.
also-
Is there color? Did you put azaleas on that
Yeah.
side?
What the renderings will show
Yes.
the plants and species and the plan there, it didn't take too much of a deviation from before, except for some of the different species that y'all suggested.
Is there color on that side?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we've mixed in a lot of azaleas over there as well.
Did you?
Okay, That's
There's
good.
azaleas throughout the site to be consistent.
okay.
There should be a color rendering at the end with plants on it all the way at the bottom.
and reference, by the way, to the caliper size of the trees and everything, I just went back and I realized I cut the sheet out because I was just trying to make the presentation smaller so we didn't have a bunch of extra stuff. I mean, I can provide that information, you know, now or later to Becca, but I apologize. I just, you know,
Fine.
flip when we're flipping through so many sheets the next time I go get rid of this,
No
that.
worries, no worries.
Yeah.
Justin, you have anything?
Well, I just want to say thank you guys again for your consideration. We'll move into architect.
All right, yeah.
All right. We can, Chris Carpus, I'm the architect through us to go here. Yep. That's a good start right there. And then we'll scroll down pretty fast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we do have one.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Refresh my memory again. What's the depth of the pond? I know it's not a real pond. It's not supposed to hold water, but
So that's gonna be about 4 feet from top of bank to water surface, and then, 5 feet or so at least DES standards to make sure there's not mosquitoes, et cetera, in there.
okay. But there's a retaining wall around it, right?
That's correct.
Is that 5 feet? Is it top of bank from the retaining wall or top of bank from 78, right? So that's
The
6
retaining,
feet.
the retaining wall would be 3.5 feet tall. So it's top of bank, 3.5 feet down, and there's a 5-foot area that's sloped down to the water surface. So there's not water right at the base of the retaining wall, just
Gotcha.
as a safety design
So-
thing.
Because it exceeds, I think, 18 or 24 inches, once you need a fence around the top of it.
Potentially, yes.
Right. What kind of fence?
Okay, first of all, how much is the wall sticking above the grade around it? Like
Right now, it's just flush.
yeah, so it's basically the pond's actually sunken in. There's not gonna be much wall sticking up. So yes, it will need a fence. The fence I like are the slit rails that you can't stick your head through and a kid can't go through.
Yeah,
And
it
we
depends
do
on how
about
many beers
3
you have, but yeah, I
We
get
do
you.
3 feet minimum height. That's usually what we would
Black, I assume
we
something
would do
like that.
black and it'd be metal. Open to other ideas. It's just we really take the fall protection seriously and we really don't want lawsuits. So we got to make sure that they're slatted out tight.
No, yeah, I understand. What I'm fearful of is a fence get decided on that is aesthetically not conducive to what we're all working towards here in the past 3 meetings and
Fence will be.
be done
inside.
after the fact.
Charlie,
Yes.
the fence will be inside the perimeter hedging.
Yeah.
So when the hedging grows, the fence should be covered, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so I guess that's my question is we're talking about dumpster enclosures and aesthetics of the, but a fence, particularly one fronting the road. It's not shown on the plan, let alone the details worked out. That's just, it makes me nervous.
Well,
If you're less than 31 inches at your fence height, you don't need any kind of fall protection.
yeah, but they're
So if you're like 28 inches, that's all, you wouldn't have to worry about people falling off the fence.
Realistically, we
Who's on
could
top of the fence?
just lower the wall, so it's a
What?
little less than 3 feet.
Less than 31 inches, you do not need
still
fall
like a fence around.
out of wall.
I mean, I appreciate the concern and thought we're in a tight spot with the concerns of the site. There's really to solve the drainage aspect, which is like the health, safety, welfare component that really needs to come before all else. Like we do need to have this pond here, in its current location. Ideally, ponds would not be in the front of the store, but it's just how it lands. And then when you have ponds in general, you do want them not accessible to the public. So you do typically have a fence, even if it's just a sloped in.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean,
And to be clear, my location, the location of the pond has,
yeah,
I think it's a detail that particularly with the view from the road of all that we're achieving with the landscaping, the aesthetics and the architecture could be detracted from based on decision we haven't seen.
yeah. Well,
That's the only part.
I think the fence will ultimately be very see-through and will be very much integrated into the landscape. If you see the landscape plan, it is every inch around the pond has plantings proposed. So I believe it will be conducive of the overall design of this project. So-
Just to clarify for the applicant and the board, the UDO requires that any fencing matches or is in line with the materials used for the building. So they can't just put up a vinyl fence or a PVC fence. So that, again, is reviewed by staff through the site disturbance, but I understand y'all wanting to see that detail, but just so you know that the UDO does require that the fencing has to be in line with the architecture of the building, even down to using the same materials.
Perfect. That solves my problem then.
Okay, thank you.
Again, Chris Carpus, the architect, and we will start with the elevations there, but to address some of the discussion that we had, the brick slide is the next slide, and I'm just going to ask for mercy. I did not bring a sample panel, and that is all me. Gee, I know. So moving on, let's scroll down, and I apologize for that. Let's move down to continue down to the renderings. Peter's comment with the horizontal steel separating the windows, that is in fact a W shape, as we discussed at the last meeting. And we had talked about the landscaping at the front. Let's go back. Let's go down to the renderings. That first one was a good place. Yeah. You can see at the front there, the owner has decided to have kind of to line that walkway at the front with some plantings and set back the area at the front. And so it kind of just gradually kind of brings you into the front there from the parking with something a little softer than just a big concrete pad. If we want to go down a little bit more, as they said, we did kind of switch it up to a lot of azaleas, and there's that side, Peter, with the crepe myrtles on that side, kind of softening up that where what the DOT does, of course, is up to them, but there's a lot of color and a lot of green along the interstate side. Lastly, if you want to go through those, that'd be great. You can see that a little bit closer up. And going down to Peter had asked about night rendering. So I've kind of done a few that sort of show you the intention with the lighting, the signs, with the accent lighting. And that's, of course, from the interstate. Then you go down to that one right there, and it's the front entrance. You can see the plants revised, and the whole entrance revised there. And so I think that addresses the architectural comments. If you want to talk about the dumpster, we can go back to the first kind of 3D. Let's see. And it's not a very good shot, but basically the dumpster enclosure matches the building exactly, except for the gate. Obviously, the metal gate color and everything will match the colors of the metal on the building, and the brick and cap. Well, it'll just look like it'll be the extension of the building. Okay. All right, and you want to go down to the last slide? That would be fantastic. Thanks, Becca. And so if y'all have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Can you refresh our memory on the color of the brick and the texture?
Yes. If you go back up, sorry. It's a good exercise. It is a rough texture. It's not wire cut, and it has a lot of variation with browns and grays, and a very natural brick, and not any nothing institutional or I think the main thing was that we didn't go wire cut for a straight industrial looking kind of thing.
Did you break up the end walls of this building, or are those just massive?
They are. I'm right above that. You can see we've broken up the sides and walls with pilasters, so we can fit in a great detail. Okay. Yeah. And you can also see how the dumpster enclosure just sort of blends in.
Are the condenser units screened on
Yes.
top?
The parapets will have the condensed units. We've done some studies with the architect in St. Louis, and lots of different angles, and the parapets are high enough. Even though I see those on there, they are hidden.
You'd have to be 20 feet in the air to see them.
You do.
Static. From the ground, you ain't gonna see it.
And you confirm that there's no required exits on the 26th side of the building?
Still need the egress out there provided for. So we've left the sidewalk in place. We figured that was probably best for maintenance anyway. It's well concealed from the outside. And so that gives them some flexibility as they are still kind of working out the inside of the, and it's a little bit different than their basically we're trying to keep it simple, but we have taken all that into account so that people can get out. Okay, so it's really not a lot of change there, but if something does come up,
We have the flexibility. Sometimes we will put a fire exit, sometimes our part of workers. So sometimes we'll put a fire exit on that side. But I don't think it's
Any type of decorative lighting on those ends or functional lighting? I assume that customers are picking up their furniture at the loading dock?
No.
Okay. So it's all delivery
We don't have any
pickups.
warehouses.
Okay.
We usually get one delivery a week for a lamb sells or a picture of somebody carries it out their front door. We'll replenish once a week. We don't have.
Okay.
Did you consider using more than one brick type? Like instead of all the same color brick, dividing it up into other?
really been leaned heavily into more into the brick detailing and not maybe color or textures. The metal itself has pretty good contrast with it. And there's enough of it to where the brick detailing I think carries.
But you have no samples of anything.
I am the last presenter tonight as well on another project. I can find one if you need it, but
It's okay.
I just dropped the ball.
This, we just,
I'm leaning towards a resubmit to a committee of DRB to make sure all these details are correct.
I agree.
If y'all were okay with that.
It's on the. Some of these things that they weren't able to bring are on the final checklist, the final approval checklist.
Yeah.
So is it appropriate for us to grant them final approval if they're not meeting some of the checklist requirements?
It's a good.
I mean, sometimes those details are deferred to staff. It just depends on
I think the
what it is exactly.
height scale and massing is not going to change. The detailing is of what we see is not going to change. I think in an effort to just keep it moving forward, that the details that are lacking can be done at a committee level
I
rather
agree.
than waiting another potentially 2 months.
So that means y'all
Don't
wouldn't
have
come
any-
back.
And then it would have to come back to all of us, just 3 of us or something. But I mean, that's just my thought.
and I,
Good thought.
my only concern is we ask for things and you know, the next person that stands up, we won't set that standard, but I get it. I don't want them to have to.
What are the critical items? The wall, design, the fence design around the pond, the actual brick.
The plant sizes we need to see, the dumpster detail, which we kind of see, but enlargement of the lighting plan, bulkhead detail with fence.
But they're, I think they're easily provided. It's just, we just need to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. It's
Well,
not, I don't think there's a huge debate over the choices that they've made.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
committee can look at that later.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Do we need to set up that committee?
Yeah, that's the way we go.
Is there
Committee of
anybody
3,
willing to sit on it?
Hmm?
Is there anybody willing to sit on it?
I would do it.
I'd do it.
Bill and
I can do it. My office is 2 blocks from me.
Staff can help coordinate that.
Okay.
I make a motion to final approval based on the committee final approval. Is that kind of what we're looking at?
I think it would be final approval with conditions.
Yep.
Ones, the details we listed. And then it's decided upon by committee. All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Peter seconded. Any further discussion? Is there anything you want to add at this moment?
The question I have is, does that committee need to be getting presentation? Or can it be-
Email. Good email. Good. All for the vote, in favor of the, well, I think we need to list them specifically.
Yes.
And I'll just repeat it for you. but
Yep.
Plant sizes, dumpster detail, lighting plans with details, bulkhead detail with fence, and then the turf lane detail. What else?
Actual.
Building sample, material samples.
For example,
That what you want to roll with?
Yes.
and confirm exits at the rear of the building. Cause the amount of travel distance, I think you're gonna need some back doors.
Would it be, appropriate for you to talk to your own?
Back up.
Thanks.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Luden Drive Apartments.
All right, so this is coming back before you simply because their approval expired by about, I think, 2 months. But this was previously approved, or well, a few more than 2 months, back in July of 2023. The applicant has confirmed that nothing has changed, with the plans. I did ask them to bring a material board due to the final condition being from the DRB that they replace their proposed stucco siding finish with hardy, and the windows were approved as presented. Just run through these and
If you would,
y'all have any
I think the
questions for
most appropriate thing would just go over the changes. Just go over the changes. I don't think we need a complete presentation of the whole project, just changes. Agreed.
Board is. Elevate. Basically, what we did is we eliminated the stucco, went to brick, first floor. I went to hardy, floors 2 and 3. And the stair element, central stair element is the area toward the back, well, brick. Coloration of the brick is consistent around the base. This is the brick tone. This is the coloration of the hardy. Coloration of the hardy board and back. Looking is the composition shingle. This backdrop is the dark color for the hardy panels that were created to allow some of the columns, some of the backdrop to kind of recess a little bit. When we set the buildings on the included site facing the street, it's shown on the rendering. Like, person. The rendering there very clear on the entrance into whether it's the oaks or the pines or whatever the ultimate name becomes signage. What we were trying to do at that point was expose the detail or to move the street or ground up porch area or balcony area, porches above to give it some character. Those two buildings, while they are identical, one on the right, then the one on the left, building B is split. But we're trying to break up the acting vector and willows. And then the third building behind it, in the back, its porches face the area to the south. So we're trying to give the folks that are in there the best view opportunities, natural light. questions on the materiality. I think it was a great suggestion to go to brick from the stucco. I think it was a great suggestion to confirm the hardy siding on the two floors. We're trying to break down the massing of it. As we talked a little bit in the preliminary, same thing with the way the window fenestration was revised on some of the interior. If you want to go to the site.
Well, before we get off the rendering, can you go back? I think you have a lot of details, a lot of good details shown on this rendering that I don't believe transferred to the elevation. So I think if you can commit that you're gonna build your building with the amount of details, especially around the windows. Right, but the heavy lintels, it looks like there's some, special lintel above the brick windows. So you paid attention to detail. I don't know if you're showing right above a special cornice above the brick before the hardy. So I would like you to build the building and detail everything according to this rendering.
See,
I understand that sheet A2, it shows the front elevation. Does depict the soldier course above the
Okay, but
window and the.
we don't have to go into that.
But I
This is what we
also-
want.
Yes, sir. I understand. This was actually created from the
Okay, good.
3D CAD drawing from the drawing, but yes, we've worked with Vitelli and Nick Nicola, to make it a good quality building. These gentlemen have run their business now for just 3 to 5 years. And in the last 2 years, since we got your approval last time, they've completed over 65 residential structures. And I've been to see them. They're very impressive. This is going to be a very nice quality building. And I think a great addition to Summer.
I would like to see you make the brick the color that you show on the rendering, which is about 3 shades darker than that brick in the sample.
Little, well, I think that they're probably yeah, very similar. Does the town come out and look at a brick sample, or I mean a building color sample palette?
A wall sample. You could build a wall sample.
You build a wall sample. I think that's appropriate to build a small wall sample. That's what we've done.
It's typically only done if it's provided as a condition of approval. We do a final inspection, but if you wanted us to come out before you got started.
If the board would be happy with providing a brick sample.
Well, does everybody have the same opinion about the brick? I think it should be darker.
Agreed.
Darker.
Yeah.
Darker.
It's almost too similar to the hardy plan.
Yeah, it sounds too similar to the hardy. There's not enough contrast. You have adequate contrast on the rendering, but not there on the sample.
Bill, could they either have a sample panel built on site or bring a sample to Becca's office?
Either way, I don't care. I like going all over Somerville.
Got a little bit of whitewash over what was shown on the rendering.
Any other comments? All right, they're asking for some final approval. Sounds like it's final approval with the condition of providing a sample of a darker colored brick. Right,
More close to that rendering.
Yes.
right.
See,
And staff's gonna check that one off.
Are you comfortable with staff approving the sample, or I want to approve the sample?
I want to see it.
All right, we're gonna have a subcommittee to approve that as well. That would be, okay, so would someone like to, I'll make that as a motion. Final approval with the conditions that a sample is provided and is approved by a subcommittee of DRB.
Second.
Any further discussion? I'll say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Did Good deal.
Can y'all just reiterate who made the motion and seconded that?
Made the motion. Second. And I'm recusing for the next 3 items.
The next three. Good.
Next item. Sawmill Center grocery tenant.
Hello, everyone. Almost happy holiday.
Happy holidays.
We're here.
Milton, do you mind if I just go over the staff report real quick? I'm sorry.
They're not speaking.
Okay, so this is part of the Sawmill Center development, which y'all are very familiar with. This project and the project after it on the agenda were originally presented to you under one project. We have split them up for ease of review. And if there's any changes, one building won't hold up the other. So as far as my staff report, as noted in TRC review and conceptual, foundation plantings are required for GB properties subject to DRB approval. Staff would suggest in areas that foundation plantings that do not meet the parameters of the ordinance or are just not feasible, that maybe fixed planters are proposed in lieu of that, obviously subject to the board's review. Evergreen shrubs required for landscaping will need to be individually called out in order to be reviewed for compliance. I know these are shown as shaded areas, but that's just a note for your civil. As far as architecture goes, it did appear that there are a few new materials that may be utilized, or maybe not new materials, but utilized in a different way from some of the other buildings we've seen. So staff would recommend providing renderings and a material sample board for review before coming back to the board. But other than that, I will hand it over to you, Milton.
Thank you. So, y'all have seen this building at conceptual, and I think pretty much everybody from the board liked what we presented back then. So I'm going to speak first to the grocery anchored shopping center building, and then the outbuilding is obviously a separate process. But we have made some, I think, very minor tweaks to it, which the design team will go through with you. I think given where we are on this design, we would ask you to consider preliminary to final for this building this evening, and then we'll go through the next couple of meetings on the what I would call the outpad building. But we think we're far enough along. We're very, very close to signing the grocer. We can't disclose that at this point, but we are very excited about that tenant, and we think it'll be a great addition, which everybody at the town will like having as a business. And so that's all I can say to that. But I will turn it over to my design team and let them present you the details. Thank you.
Sorry. Hey, Kaylee Roberts, Seaman Whiteside side. I am the civil. Couple of things that we changed throughout our conceptual is in the TRC, one of the comments was to that area kind of in between, we'll call it the out parcel and the anchor tenant, was 2 driveways. We changed that to 1 per the TRC comments, and updated the parking there in that area. Yeah, site plan would be great. Thank you. The other, just from changes in, we'll talk about that as well, in the out parcel building, some of the parking changed in that area. The footprint was a little bit different. Added some foundation plantings, specifically around the grocery anchor tenant. They're more than that, pretty much is site-wise about the same, other than that kind of area in between the grocery and that out parcel building. There's not a lot on site, but if you have any questions, I can answer them. And then I'll hand it over to the architect.
Jared, you have some comments?
Looks good to me.
No.
For a grocery, can you explain what's happening in front of the grocery? With regards to the site, is there a pickup? Is there a queuing line for pickup of the grocer, or this grocer doesn't operate that way?
No, it'll be, this all sidewalk there. If you go back to the site plan, that's all sidewalk and then just a couple of foundation planes. That's just a driveway, a drive aisle between. So all that little dashy hatch would be just be sidewalk.
So it's not a Publix or Harris Teeter that has, call in, or you can't divulge
We
that.
can't say what.
But that's not part of
but
the business
It's not
model.
the same. It's not part of the correct.
Okay.
So we talked about foundation plantings not being feasible up front. We have some planter boxes on the left-hand side in front of the retail restaurant space. So why so much concrete in front of the anchor tenant? Is that utilized somehow? Is that activated?
The anchor tenant requests more sidewalk there, and there's some more open space and kind of using that area. Those little block out white spaces is where we kind of add the plantings to get some more of the foundation plantings up at the front. So
Yeah, further down, but
Well, it's under roof, under the overhang.
what'd you say?
Most of that concrete's under roof,
Correct. Yeah.
walkway, covered walkway.
Correct. Yeah. So there's
So
there's a canopy and then there's an extra sidewalk. So the sidewalk's covering two, half of it's under a canopy, and
And they
then
merchandise.
additional 5 feet or so.
So is the traffic pattern and the right in, right out on, I forgot the name of that street, but is that what your traffic engineer recommends? Isn't there a lot of, so for someone to go,
It's already in place.
That's already in place.
Yeah.
And infrastructure.
Okay.
Traffic study.
Okay.
So the bottom entrance is predominantly for deliveries to the retail tenants and the grocer. The main entry is, where the pork chop is up there. So yeah, that's the main entry. That brings you in, this center, and the Roper one building that's up on the corner.
and what is the landscape in the parking islands? Is it just a tree? Is it,
There's some canopy trees and some shrubs. Yeah.
have you developed that? And is that what you're doing throughout the center? Is it going to be consistent?
It's consistent with the rest of the master plan, correct? All the street plantings were approved in the original overall master plan, so those will stay as they were. They'll be planted in this phase, but per previous approval. And overall development.
so we have what I can count, I guess, 13 spaces being the max distance before you get to a landscape island. You've got a lot of landscape islands in the center of the parking lot, but on the edges, particularly on the plan right side in front of the future restaurant, why can't we break up some of those spaces with another landscape island?
And the future restaurant area over here.
Well, in two areas, yes. And then secondly, along Sawmill Center Drive, you've got a couple of bays of parking that are 13. I imagine you can move those around and only lose maybe one space, two at the most. Is that something that could be considered?
Yeah, for sure. We could consider moving some around, and spacing a little.
Is there a connection between the Sawmill Trail and the development here? I know there is further down, but no?
Don't have one for this.
Okay.
There is on the far right in front of the outbuilding. You can see the trail comes down there and would connect on that end, but not in the center. That's kind of where the trail begins, playing right.
And are you keeping the site illumination kind of low so you're not creating a lot of pollution into the woods area? Just along the back of their development? Okay.
Yeah, the lighting's same light pole that we're using across the entire project.
So do you envision any kind of public gathering space in front of the grocer? Is it a place where, you know, Girl Scouts are gonna sell Girl Scout cookies and you're gonna get that community, especially with all the residents that you have on your site?
Under the overhang, Pete.
So they're gonna-
Under the overhang canopy, they got a lot of canopy space there. That's what.
so that's the intent?
Yeah, and you'll see that more in the elevations. There's a fair amount of covered outdoor space.
You got a whole lot more than usual, yeah.
Yeah, part of that would be for their programming needs from the inside of the grocery, but also for things that you're talking about,
I
activities.
think we remember we have that big green lawn. It's over by that space too, this public space. Original added plenty of food.
Is there gonna be outdoor seating for the anchor grocer
Yes.
I think there's a little.
out front?
Little difference between those two storefront areas you see there, that covered area, right above where it says Brick Veneer. I believe that area is programmed to be outdoor seating. Is that, you see what I'm talking about?
Along between the main
Between the
entrance
glass
and then
areas.
the two, okay, the two glass areas.
Yeah. all of
Where
that is
it says
covered.
brick veneer, right? This was, okay. Remind me again, you're saying that there's gonna be planter boxes out in front of this?
We would prefer just to found like little areas of green in those little sections on the front, outside, in front of the canopies. So it'd be like just little green patches with some landscaping
That's showing.
Like just at the column base and the width of the column base? That's what
in
you're
front
saying?
of the columns. Yeah, yes, correct.
Okay. Becca, that's something we have to prove.
They are typically required to have foundation plantings, I believe. They can have up to 25% area where they don't have foundation plantings on this facade. But the DRB has purview over any sort of variance from that requirement. The ordinance points to, you know, allowing a variance, like reason, it does give examples of reasons for that. So if it's a walkway, or, you know, again, it's just not feasible because of some sort of infrastructure, that those are typical reasons for waiving that requirement.
We're happy to explore that. I think concern of how we irrigate it.
Right.
Stuff live.
Yeah.
So we're happy to explore that with our team and get back to y'all, but just ask you to do that. Hopefully post.
I mean, I don't think we're opposed to planter boxes. We approved the comeback shack with
Yeah.
them. I'm just trying to understand, are we talking about just like one big pot with one plant in it in front of a column, or are we talking about something a little bit more substantial?
I think it'd be more evenly spaced out.
It'd have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you just turn the column?
I mean, one pot in front of each column. I don't mean like one planter in totality. That's just to be clear.
Could you turn the columns into a living wall like we did with the bank across the parking lot? Something just to soften the appearance of. Yeah, yeah.
We want to be mindful of not blocking the storefronts of these retailers because they're going to be sensitive to that, obviously. And y'all know everything we've done out there has been to a very high level, high standard. So we would just ask to work with staff on that if that's.
Kaylee, do you know the dimensions here? This is all canopy, correct?
Yeah, I think it's 6.
So that's 6 feet.
Oh, you're so far off the road, you're not gonna see what you're talking about doing anyway.
Right.
Cause you only see that when you're on the road. You don't see it when you're in a parking lot particularly. So it's kind of a moot point, I think. You got so much planning in the parking lot. Is it overplanted the parking lot?
Yeah.
You've exceeded the code in the parking lot. You got way more than a tree every 61 feet.
Good.
It's gonna look good, and you'll see from the road, you're gonna see all the parking lot trees and landscaping for, all that.
Yeah.
You're not even gonna see the building from the highway.
Once it grows in and matures, it's gonna look
Yeah.
fabulous.
I don't know, I don't think that's the point. I think the point is we have something, we have an opportunity here to make it special. If you can't see it from the road, why do we care about the architecture? I mean, it's just one of those.
Maybe referring to the internal.
I
I'm more
don't disagree. I mean,
referring to, well, the internal road, you're not gonna notice it, the little driveway.
well, the fundamental balance here is trying to make sure it's a storefront visible for what the real, the anchor needs while maintaining an aesthetic value. Not having the aesthetic value of any landscaping on the front of the road, I think does us a disservice. And why have planter boxes out front at all? We can't put a lot of thought and effort into the materials of the building and then just scrap away landscaping because nobody's ever going to see it. I just think maybe we attempt to find something, like I said, it's something simple to soften it, whether it be hanging baskets. And I know that's a problematic thing from a logistical standpoint, but I have hanging baskets down my main street. Granted, I have entire department to water them, but just some options would be nice to see, as opposed to, again, I don't want to take away from their visual corporate identity, but this sawmill is very special. I live right next door to it. So I want to make sure that it's something everybody, I don't disagree. The landscaping, when mature, is going to be beautiful.
Any other site concerns?
I don't have any more seconds.
There's a sidewalk in the rear that appears doesn't really go anywhere. Right there, and right at the plan cut sheet on the left-hand side. Is there a plan to connect that across that parking lot, or, it circles around the parking lot? I get that, but then it goes down the drive aisle and just stops. It doesn't seem to connect to anything. It doesn't show on the sheet.
On that side of the retail.
Yeah, on the south side of that parking lot, and unless I'm reading it wrong, but I thought that sidewalk in the corner where the restaurant retail space meets the anchor loops around that south side of that parking lot between the drive and delivery aisle. If we go back to the last sheet, I might have read it wrong. I apologize if I did. Sod. Does it look like it was? Well, the reason why I say that is because it looks like it's the same material. Okay. Never mind then. My fault. Never mind.
Okay, you want to go to architecture?
Yeah, sure. First off, Jay, as Milton mentioned, there were no actionable items from last time we presented it, but I'll give you an overview of the building. As we just discussed, we have the grocery on the left-hand side. The form of that is this gabled entry that's covers the front entry. And there is additional covered porch area that extends to the corner there with the exposed steel column supports and the signage tower on the corner. The material for the grocer is brick, and it's the same brick that we've used on the other buildings consistent with the development. Material on the gateway and the main entry of the grocer, cementitious siding. The retail is fine with corrugated metal roof and wall panels with this sort of warm gunmetal gray color, kind of feel with that industrial feel for a mill. The columns are steel, steel bees. As you can see there. Those two more orange areas are fine, flat, Portland steel. So again, usually elsewhere from development. And at the end, we're anchoring it with the brick again, and that's where the restaurant component is located with the gable roof structure facing toward Highway 78 on that side. See that middle left elevation with an additional portion on that as well. On that would be a standing seam metal roof. Back of the building facing the floodway area would be a stucco.
I think my predominant question that needs explaining is that when you first introduced the sawmill concept based upon an actual sawmill and some historic photos that you have within your presentation, I have a hard time seeing those images and connecting it to this development, to this building. And I think I could probably decipher the shed roof as part of the old sawmill. But these big sign pillars, I can't quite connect to the historic vision. And I don't know if that's a goal of yours, and that you did create something based upon historic Somerville and what it was. But unless someone comes to you and says, what is the story? I don't see that immediate connection between the history of Somerville and the log sheds that you showed and a connection to this building. And I don't know if that's something you want to strengthen, something that you're not going to address, because I think it's a great story. It was a philosophy of yours. It was your design, your design philosophy that I don't see. And especially, I do want to address these large grocer wall, especially the one that faces all your apartment buildings. I don't know if that's the image that you want to reflect. It looks like you put all your money in the front and then you decide to do nothing on the side, even though that's a huge elevation that is going to be viewed daily by, I thought your impact area of the center park and all the residents that are, in that direction.
As far as that side is concerned, that's a fair point. There will be planned as for additional building along the side of that building, not touching it, but across.
Can you show me on
Site
a master plan or something?
Let's look at the site plan.
right there, you kind of see an outline of light stations there. That's a future building that's moving there. So it felt like it was going to be visually blocking most of that facade. That building comes online next. As far as the back of the building, it's facing the floodway, which will not get developed. It's facing wood. Like that necessitated spending cost for higher material backside. But your comment about the sawmill concept, I mean, we feel like we're pulling in components of that. We have building this large with this many different sort of programmatic pieces. It's hard to say this one unifying element's going to make that tie back to what it was. We're using pieces and parts of that. We're trying to keep with that industrial, rural industrial aesthetic, which was the concept of that. So we're using a lot of exposed steel, a lot of the that we felt like we're very in keeping with those traditional industrial building, finding the sawmill, like that. And it's consistently used material that we're using elsewhere on the side.
I mean, personally, I think the two signage walls, I don't know what you're naming them, are out of place.
410C.
And if it was just the continuous shed roof, I think that would be stronger.
Well, the core 10 steel is going to be down there. That's going to be raw rusted steel.
I mean, that's all the intent. It's just a signage background, right?
I think you're better off just with the core 10 steel, which is going to look great in real life. You can't depict it in the picture, but it's going to really look good. And it goes with the rest of the center. And on the back of the center, the long back wall, the stucco walls, if you made those kind of a rose color, more like a color of a brick, they would look good because Sawmill Village, which is the Harris Theater Center, all the stucco walls that face William Myers Parkway are stucco in their rose color. And they look pretty good for the interstate for the Parkway. Because you're looking at it from 200 yards away. But the color stands out is a good color there. So these, rather than a white color, a rose color or something like, more of a brick color, yeah, it blends in, yeah. Goes away.
I would agree with that on the rear. Although nobody's gonna see it, obviously, the Harris Theater is different because Berlin went through. But that side, I'm concerned with because it's gonna face across a parking lot from a restaurant. You're gonna be able to see it from the open space of the roundabout. I'm with Peter. I think it looks on that one side only. The rest of it, I can live with, but on that one side only, it looks half finished.
Build a couple.
I think the architecture it comes around on the right-hand side, and that faces, in my opinion, less of a visual impact than that one will. I mean, you're gonna have, if you have a restaurant across a parking lot that has outdoor seating, you've got a handful, and this goes back to our earlier point about foundation plantings. You've got a couple of trees, I think 3 or 4 to the right. You might have 2 to the left on the far end, but it's still a white stucco wall with no, I think it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. I think you've done a really good job, in my opinion. I'm not an architect, but a really good job of making it look very aesthetically pleasing throughout the entirety of the project. But now we just have a stucco wall that's going to be seen from
the restaurants. But if you made them the rose color or the different brick color, and then you put a couple of the V column elements in there just to break it up. They don't have to extend off the building 2 or 3 feet. Just break it up, break that elevation up.
I think we can come up with some solutions.
Yeah.
Break that up.
And the rest would be pretty good. Be okay.
And wasn't there a historic train depot association with the original concept? Say that again?
Next project,
Okay,
next presentation.
Yeah, I forgot.
just testing. So again, let me ask about the sign pylons on this elevation. Are you in love with those? Not necessarily the shape that it interrupts this continuous, could be a continuous shape. And I don't know what the train depot that you are gonna show us. Maybe you want to show us that too. And
I don't get that.
I guess my opinion is I like breaking up that shed. I think it adds an interesting element to Bill's point. The core 10 steel, which we have going on the Roper 2 building. Once that is up, see that rusted finish, is going to add something very different just anywhere in this town.
It's gonna look a whole lot different than this.
Yes, it's hard to
Much more
visualize
better.
off of that rendering.
More better.
But if you've used or seen the core 10 that we're talking about, it's just gonna break it up rather than have it, you know what, from, if you had one continuous shed roof, it reminds me of the old Kmart Center over on Ladson. And we don't want that.
It's about.
agree, we don't want
We
that.
don't want that.
Well, I did.
I trust these guys' judgment. If y'all want us to study it again, we'll go back and study it. But what we heard at conceptual was you liked it.
Bingo.
That's what we heard, and we tweaked it very little. The grocer had a footprint change on square footage. We tweaked it based on that. And really just refined it to what we see today.
That section we're talking about is over 100 feet long, so.
Yeah, it's long.
It is. Breaking it up.
I don't believe we have any 3D renderings on this one.
We had a preview.
We're just looking for preliminary approval.
Wanted final, but we gotta come back. We'll come back, whatever.
I'm fine with final. I don't know about y'all.
Whatever makes y'all happy, we'll do it.
I think you need to address this dead side of the grocer wall with something.
Yep.
We understand the economics. We're not saying do it brick or core 10, but certainly that much contrast on the overall massing, I think it's too extreme. So maybe is it a paint, maybe it is paint color. Maybe it is a few details.
You have some, on the other one, if I'm not mistaken, you have some, lack of a better word, fake doors, right? Like on the, what's, yes. Is there a way to incorporate that? Cause I don't disagree with Peter's argument to soften the color up, but I don't think that's enough. That's my only fear with that. If we could put some spandrel doors on there. Just something where, because right now it looks like a movie screen,
The VTech.
which could be a selling point. You throw the game up on there and I'd go out to the restaurant, but of course you don't have a greenway there, so I'm not walking there. So DUI, here I come, but kidding.
I'm gonna go. Right, preliminary group.
Just one more question. So underneath these canopies, what is the aesthetics? Is there a ceiling? Is there no ceiling? Are there lanterns, lights?
There is, it'll be, I mean, we don't want that. That'll be scary.
So it's just a flat ceiling?
That's correct.
Okay.
You're talking about.
This building that we're looking at. Okay, any other comments on
Is it,
this
I
building?
had a question for agenda and housekeeping purposes. Is this two motions? Is this two separate agenda items? How does this want to be?
Separate.
Yeah, we separated them, for ease of going through the process.
Okay.
And because they are two separate buildings, so.
This is all one building. This is all one case.
Yes.
I think on the agenda, it's both of them, is it not?
So
Is that?
this is one building, and then the building that faces 78 is the next item on the.
Next item. Okay, never mind.
Item
I
4.
apologize. I thought it was the same item.
So just discuss this as a board. Are we prepared to give them final based upon, they do submit further details and further design to a smaller
I think we
committee,
need-
just like
I
we
think we
talked
need to
about
see-
previously,
I think we need to see what goes on with these two blank walls
before we give,
before we grant final approval. We could get final approval based on committee approval of the walls and the other
Okay.
comments. I'd make that recommendation.
well, wait, are you saying committee or no committee?
Committee, see.
Yeah.
Okay, just like,
If it's final. we need
If it's
to-
final, we. need
yes,
to-
okay,
Yeah, committee, final with committee meeting
Right.
to address
Just
comments,
to address the wall,
the walls.
correct.
okay, so we're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Does that answer all your, I mean, the wall was the only thing I had. I know we had talked about a lot of different things.
With the front finish.
I mean, I'd like to see some more landscaping, but in the grand, in a creative way. Again, I don't want to block the view, but I'm willing to let that one go. The wall's the most important thing to me.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, final approval based on comments made and final approval of comments made by committee later date, be scheduled by staff.
Second,
Although,
Becca, did you have an issue with that?
No, she loves organizing.
See, that's the one.
It's a big, big, big-
Little pressure on the
I should think that. Look at her big.
Okay.
all right, so we had a second.
Second,
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it.
You got it,
All right.
run.
Thank you.
Next, bro.
I don't think I had any additional comments. They're pretty much the same, comments. With the exception of, the site landscaping, because I believe y'all are meeting the requirement there. So I will just, do you want me to start with site again? Did y'all have anything else you wanted to discuss about site, or you want to go to the architecture?
I'm fine on site. It's pretty well covered.
Okey dokey.
I think on the site comment though, the sidewalk on this little retail thing ought to tie in with the sidewalk leaving the site.
Yeah, go north.
It's easy, 10 foot of sidewalk, 20 feet.
What landscaping wise over there? Okay, that's fine.
So you labeled this restaurant. So in the other building, you did something special for that restaurant, outdoor seating. So are you designating a space in this building for restaurant with outdoor seating, or?
Well, it's restaurant slash retail. It might end up being all retail.
Most of that is really trying to understand. You actually get with building, not necessarily addressing, proceed per se.
You'll have 6 units. You have room for 6 units in this building, 6 units. So 1 out of the 6 could be a restaurant.
That's correct. And when you see the elevations, it'll be that if it would be one in this building, it'd be in the middle, because that's where all the equipment would need to go.
Yeah.
How is grease disposal taken care of with a restaurant?
Greasy trash in ground. That's up to DEAC though.
Well, I think Peter's point. How's it gonna function in here? Where, I mean, where would it go? In the rear, in the front?
No, it goes underground.
I
But-
get that.
But it could be above ground and in the kitchen.
Well, why don't you guys tell us
But
what
it
the
depends on
intent is?
DEAC. DEAC calls that shot when the restaurant is determined and their menu is determined. They don't know.
The sewers in rear, there's manhole and whole sewer line on this Highway 78 side. We would tap in there, and then we'll have any time that there is a restaurant, we have a grease trap for that building. Otherwise, it's just gonna be sewer connections. And until we know that those tenants, we don't have anything else to share.
So there's.
Sewer line.
So from a site landscapes, and let's start with site. This plan west elevation. There's a lot of cars driving past that elevation. Are you doing anything special with that elevation? We can talk about the architecture later, but just from a site perspective, or is it just? Do you expect people just to blow in and blow out and?
Yeah, on the plan west side, we'll have some, I mean, the typical master plan landscaping that we had already planned for that area. And then the majority of what we want to see would definitely be on the architecture side, so that all the tenants can be seen from Highway 78.
Is there a sidewalk? Is there a
Yeah.
pedestrian
Yeah.
access along?
Yeah,
See it there.
the multi-use trail, right? In white, Peter.
Sidewalk's right there.
Oh, there.
Goes-
Kind of has like a curvilinear
This.
shape.
No, here. Not down here, but here. Doesn't parallel 78.
This is it. This is
Less than
white.
that.
Now that white area is
Is that big?
multi-use pass.
Is that concrete?
Asphalt.
Asphalt? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the,
Yeah.
you can see it in between the two hatches.
Bingo, okay.
Which is, I think it'll be great. I guess the intent is to divide it, keep it separate from that retail, not wanting people to access the retail from the multi-use trail. Like with lead walks. So like another access to these stores.
No,
Just to tie in to the bottom of that parking field right there, bottom side of the building.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Outside.
well, I'm talking
Where
about
did
the
you
concrete sidewalk in front of the building, tying with the concrete sidewalk along the driveway, main driveway.
Yeah, correct. And he's saying we could also add them to the multi path.
They've already got access
Yeah.
to that other driveway, the asphalt pad.
Just this sidewalk bounding the parking lot, in between the parking lot and the retail building, having connections to the multi-use trail and then the main sidewalk along that.
Becca, could
Um,
you
collector.
move your cursor? Because I don't understand how a sidewalk.
Which side, so y'all are suggesting or asking that they make a connection just at the bottom of.
To the multi-use path and then
Yeah.
also
Use that.
at the top.
And at the top.
And at the
So
top.
straight up.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, well,
Show where the.
Yeah, run the cursor.
So that connects the Sawmill Trail.
Yeah.
Any other site questions for this building?
no, not me.
All right, do you want to present the architecture?
Building does. Building. Dig along. Here, so form wise and predominantly the gable building, we've broken it in that center portion. That's where all the cantilever units would be housed, with some parapets in that one area there. That's why I say with the restaurant where we go here, that's ideally where it needs to go. So we could provide a good the screen in that area. Material wise, we have the same brick we showed you earlier, those pilasters that are kind of marching along the building. The elevation on the bottom is the elevation spacing is the parking lot side. Building was clad in a cementitious shiplap. It's reading a little darker there. It's going to be a little bit warmer. This is what color here. It's still dark, but it's not as dark as this. So it'll be a little bit warm color with these metal brackets that you put pretty decent overhang on the roof head there. On the Highway 78 side, which is that middle elevation, for the portion of the tenant space that is not an entry, we are proposing this sort of chevron, both like doors, kind of back to this warehouse doors that you would see, and then carrying that around to the side of the building. Massing wise, it's a pretty straightforward building, but I think there's some nice opportunities for some really interesting detailing when we get into the brick pilasters and some of the how we divided the lights up between the warehouse feel to those.
You're gonna have gutters, downspouts coming down on the pilasters.
Ultimately, we'll need to do that.
Or as Vernon Hodges used to call them, pilasters. You ever hear of Vernon Hodges? Taught architectural art at Clemson. The chevron panels on the doors, I'm not, that's on storefront. Those aren't doors, are they? What the chevron, where the chevron panels are.
78.
It's how 70 stuff. That's
Yeah.
the retail. That'll be their back of house side of the building. So we
Some
solid there.
yeah. Right to
But those are not doors.
this panel.
Kind of like them.
Where you gonna put your HVAC for this building?
That's where the low slope roof, that pipe in the middle that's broken. There's a flat roof in that portion of the building. That's where the
All of it for the whole building?
we're thinking probably split system unit said there.
But it's still a long run for. And not very much
There's
room.
more roof in it here because of the overhang of those gable roof.
Yeah, was it a 6 foot overhang?
It's not quite, I think so.
Cause it needs to be about 6 to give protection to the front doors.
This is advisory, but, and probably personal preference, but I think it would on the 78 side, where you do have the windows showing, not the chevron screening. I think it would look better if you had what you're doing on the other side with like the aluminum storefront window, kind of that 12 pane style. It almost looks like it's inviting you to open to come to a door, even though I know you guys don't want to provide access on that side.
I'm not sure. Are you saying?
Put the mutton bars in where you have the chevron panels, so that.
No. So where you have what's labeled as aluminum storefront door and side lights
Oh,
on the south elevation,
yeah.
replace that with the aluminum storefront window from the other side.
Yeah.
You
Just a
got-
solid window.
No, they
But
got.
they have to have a door though.
Yeah,
the rear
they
back.
only need,
They need the rear doors.
Oh, they do?
well, we don't need it from an egress standpoint. They're not side.
Gotcha.
Well,
Because they're
otherwise, if the building's more than
It's
50
just
feet deep,
landscaping
you need
back
a back door. For travel distance.
Your point, if we can do that.
I just think it would look better.
I like the idea of the solid glass.
I agree.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think that's a bad idea. I think you need back doors. But every shopping center we ever
If
built-
rear doors are needed, put them in. If they're not needed,
That's a tenant issue and we don't have purview over the inside of the building, so.
Correct.
That's the thing that they can be, it could be swapped if necessary.
yeah. So I have two questions. One, where the mechanical equipment is going. Is that a roll-up door? Did I miss that?
Yeah, so it is.
It's just a little-
We're actually putting a screen wall there, so we have all the electric meter and stuff you can see.
That was my second question. All right, thank you.
So they're all.
It's unique. You're gonna see this building from all three sides. What, yeah, 8 meters are gonna look ugly. They're gonna stick out.
That's the light forever.
Color.
All right, any other comments? Are we prepared? Is this the same thing, Becca? They're looking for preliminary?
I think this would be fine.
So are we prepared to give them final? I didn't hear any.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll throw, I'm worried that the color's a tad dark. I like gray, but
I have the actual.
Yeah.
I'm not a soul. I like everything else. I love the chevron doors. I love the brick.
This is more.
It's not as dark.
Just reading. on
No.
the Screen. compared to
Yeah.
what we're proposing, which is just a warmer gray brown color.
Yeah, that looks like a warm kind of coffee
Yeah.
color. That's a slate.
Just looks darker in the
It
picture.
does, yeah. It reads a little-
I can live with it.
We can go.
You guys all do a committee?
No,
Becca won't.
no more committee.
I think we should. I think have a meeting.
Okay,
I think we could do final. I like that.
is there a motion to give them final approval?
I'll make a motion for final.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. and Happy New Year.
All right, so this is Chandler Bridge Creek Industrial. They are requesting preliminary approval. This previously came before y'all, is that right? That's not right. In July? Didn't think it's been that long, for conceptual. So at the conceptual meeting, the board expressed that they felt the massing, architecture, and overall site plan needed restudying. The board members cited that the project was not taking into consideration the existing natural resources, residential neighboring properties, or the context of the surrounding corridor. They advised that the applicant look into Somerville vernacular for inspiration before returning with the updated design. And I'll let the applicant address their updates in response to those. The town arborist has reviewed the tree survey for this proposal. Previously, we thought that the project might have to go to the tree protection board, but we have confirmed that the tree removals will be reviewed at a staff level, so they do not need to go to the tree protection board. Staff, specifically myself and the planning director, somebody have a phone on up there? We discussed this at the last meeting. There were not, the rear elevation was not shown at the conceptual meeting. They have provided that now. Staff would just suggest that, as we've discussed, we study those uses closely, through both the building permit process, which I am a review on, as well as the business license review to ensure that the businesses, leasing these spaces are permitted, under the UDO's Chapter 3. I think that is all that I have, so I will hand it over to the applicant.
Good evening, everybody. Pat Galladay is Brian Blair at Heritage. I'm the applicant, representative developer, operator of this project. I'm joined by Orko, our project manager, general contractor, both on one side. Got one objective for this, and it's to deliver a high quality industrial project in Somerville. We believe it's zoned and entitled. There's 3 types of users under the current zoning that are allowed: light manufacturing and production, warehousing, and wholesaling and distribution. So we don't know exactly what type of tenant out of those 3 would be in this facility. All 3 desire these types of facilities. We've had a variety of conversations with folks at Somerville as well as Dorchester County, and this product is an extreme need in the area. This is not a large scale truck terminal taking port containers off. It is a local business operated facility that will be subdivided with multiple tenants within. And I think maybe I'll start with the changes from last time and a little more context into the meeting. So last time we provided a conceptual detail of site plan and black and white rendering, pretty unclear as to the landscaping. The predominant concerns that we heard were, number one, there's a residential use next door, which is Dorchester County. Not that that changes anything, but we didn't take any architectural features from that. We really focused on Somerville vernacular, which I'll get into. But the buffer requirement for the ordinance is 30 feet. That's the minimum requirement. And as you can see in here, we've enhanced the distance and provided more context. We're providing 100 feet in some cases. At the pinch point, it gets down to 30 feet, but it's almost 3 times the required amount for the LDO on the right side. And then the top side of the screen with the buffer and pond, we're over 125 feet to the parking lot. Secondarily, we looked at every aspect of the development ordinance to try to follow this and position the noisemakers, i.e. the truck loading areas, as well as the visual aspect of that in the middle of the site to eliminate visual components of that following the ordinance. So that is why one of our main requests is to put the parking in the front of the site, is so we can then position the truck loading in the center for those tenants that would be wholesaling and distribution. Secondarily, we looked at the neighborhood in the context of the neighborhood. I don't know if you mind Becca going into the live.
Adjacent property.
Correct. Thank you. So we've numbered these just so it's easy to follow. On the left side, number 1 is the fire station. That's Dorchester County, not in the town of Somerville. Number 3 is a residential neighborhood. Dorchester County, not within Somerville. And number 4 is an industrial / business use that is also Dorchester County, not Somerville. So we're kind of on the tip of Somerville. The history of this property used to be an open air sewage facility owned by Public Works. It has since been filled in, and then it was annexed into the town of Somerville 2 years ago. Number 2 is Caliber Collision, which is in the town of Somerville. It's the newest development and most adjacent to our project, post project. So when we looked within a half mile of this area, one of the major components we looked at was what properties had a lot of frontage along the street. We have over 500 feet of frontage. There's 3 different properties within a half mile: the hospital, a self-storage facility, and then Terra Villa assisted living or senior living. All 3 of those have buildings that are one building
and they encompass more than 60% of the site, with predominantly 80 to 75%. So as you can see in our site plan and our positioning, we try to replicate that. We have 56% of our frontage covered with the building that's fronting the face of the street, so it has a good aesthetic without a corner look and or visual aspects to the loading docks. Secondarily, 2 of those 3 have parking in front of the building, so the customers have the experience that it's easy to access, number 1. Number 2, they're closer to the storefronts, and they eliminate the ability to go into the loading areas for safety and just aesthetic concerns. So I'm gonna maybe pause it. Becker, do you mind going back to the site plan? Because I think generally how this is still when we talk about site. A couple of other modifications that we've made since the last time. We've added a greenway on the left side, which is required for the comprehensive plan. And that was desired by staff. I believe that's not just desired by the requirement. So that has been added to this. That would connect across the street to an existing greenway that is across to Madison Road, excuse me. We have enhanced the facades with foundation plantings all the way around. We've enhanced the bumpers on the right side with significant plantings. While this number's not final, our estimates are that we are gonna owe $190,000 of tree mitigation, which we can offset with planting on sites. We would love to do that on site. We just need to balance in our landscape architect needs to balance having enough daylight space to fit those trees so we don't have poor form and low quality trees as time goes on. So I think maybe, do I need to say the 2 exceptions that we're requesting?
We just discussed those at the last meeting, but basically any landscaping requirement in chapter 8, the DRB has the purview to approve variances from the width requirement. Also, they are permitted to propose using existing natural resources, the buffer requirement. So any shrubs, trees that are already existing can meet that requirement as verified by staff.
Wonderful. Do you mind going 2 slides up? One of the confusion points last time was the distance to the adjacent apartments. So what we've done here is provided more zoomed out visual to show that there's over 300 feet to the actual apartment units. And in between our proposed buildings, there is a creek, Chandler Creek, as well as wetlands that should never be developed because of its natural resource protection. So I'm going to pause there and let you guys ask questions.
Can you put an 8-foot wood fence? Bring yourself in the apartments on the north side or where side that is, right side.
I don't know if, so directly adjacent on our property, we've got zone 1 and zone 2 buffers, which are required by, we have a zone 1 and a zone 2 buffer, which is required by the state. I'm not sure if fencing it out there.
Yeah, the buffers don't allow for structures.
What's that?
That would engineering would have to approve it. We can. I don't.
Normally we would do these buffer requirements.
So there's buffer requirements that do walls or fencing, but that's for public right of ways. For this purpose, it's more a concern of erosion and protecting those 2 zones. So typically we would not like the developer to install fencing.
Well, I mean, they could use the security, nothing else, not a apartment complex.
Yes, from a visual perspective, it's a fully established forest. It's 300 wide between those apartment buildings.
No, I'm talking about.
We're talking about Lexi Court.
On the right side?
Yeah.
Yes.
Plan
north, plan east.
We would consider that, yes.
I mean, we realized you're meeting, sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, we realize you're meeting the ordinance requirements. It's just 30-foot buffer of trees. You're gonna be able to see right through there.
Particularly in winter time.
It's,
Well, Walker.
I've seen 100-foot buffers that you can see.
Well, and visually is one thing, but if we're having 18 wheelers, which we are, back up, you're gonna hear through it. I mean, they could be backing up middle of the night, trying to pick up, drop off, whatever they do, whoever it may be. And you're gonna hear that incessant beeping constantly. No amount of trees are gonna stop that. I think it's too close.
Is this a different use was proposed? Is this a use issue?
They don't have curfew.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not commenting on the use. I'm commenting on the activity that I see based on the way you lay it out and only a 30-foot buffer. And then I'm countering my counterpart at the end saying, while a 30-foot buffer is not substantial enough for visual impact, I agree with them. I think the way you've set this up, it's not gonna even touch the noise impact you're gonna have on these residents.
Is there a sound ordinance that they have to be compliant with?
Believe it is, 11 PM to 7 AM.
So it's not based off of like decibels at the property line or anything. It's just. It could be, okay, so it could be as loud as possible as long as it's not during a certain hour window. Okay. I'm more concerned about the visual impact than the sound. I mean, I don't really think, like Justin, you said, I don't know if putting up a fence is gonna stop them from hearing any beeps, but
They're not gonna be good and be a sound. All local. Noises be dark.
Visually, at the beginning, if you start at the beginning of the site, we've got 100 feet above. Apartments, 30. Yeah, I understand. Saying that.
no, I'm just, I mean, this is an advisory comment. Let me clarify that. I just know from personal experience, I've seen sites get developed with landscape buffers in excess of 30 feet and you can see right through it. I think I might have missed is this the third time? Second? Okay, so I was here for the first. My main concern was not the apartments on the planned west side of this exhibit. It's all of these apartment townhomes that are abutting the site right up against it. And just wondering if there's anything like a screening fence that could be provided just to lessen the visual impact. We can't require that, but it's just, that's what I'm.
We've done it before.
You can't
Gonna
require.
require it, 'cause we've done it before.
I think that's something we definitely look into.
Then on top of that.
Second.
I think-
all
I
need
think
to
you should.
secure it. So huge liability with duplex apartment. Next door to you, I mean, you don't know who's gonna be with. Come and they go.
Yeah, we'd be open to a fence. I think the intent from an aesthetic standpoint and a buffer standpoint was that mix of shrubs, understory trees, upperstory trees, very dense within that buffer zone. To try at all visual levels, eye levels, up second, the house will be down first level to limit visibility into the side. If we push the driveway and buildings as far to the left as we can.
I think that's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell the density of the plantings based off of this rendering. Like we can see schematically, there are trees shown. Yeah, can you pull up the landscape plan
How
back up?
much existing can you utilize?
The outer 30 feet existing without disturbing it, the land's flat enough, and the topography is flat enough that we're not gonna break into that buffer.
So you're gonna utilize existing.
Correct, I would enhance.
First 30.
And that meets all of the buffer requirements, the existing vegetation?
I mean, we would evaluate that. The arborist and natural resource planner has walked the site, but specific to that requirement, when we are reviewing their site disturbance permit, we would go through and identify exactly what's being utilized to meet that requirement. If there were any dead trees, we'd obviously work with you on that, call that out, have those removed, and then the landscape plan would have to be updated as necessary.
Do you remember what like the density is? Is it like per 100 linear feet, certain amount of trees?
Yeah.
What is the number again? Okay.
Well, they've got a lot of existing trees that are grand trees and protected trees that show on the plan.
I believe it's a
Yes, it
grand
is.
tree within every 40 linear feet. And additional, shrub planting, they can use a combination thereof, it doesn't have to be, it could be more shrubs than trees.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, they are going for a preliminary. So we can require them to have more dense landscaping. We can suggest a fence at some vulnerable areas if we want.
Yeah.
I think we gotta just require the fence and then the landscaping takes care of itself.
Well, we'll let them, again,
No, we
they
can
have to come back with a design based upon your pro forma and everything. So these are comments from the board based upon what we see right now. So right now, we're seeing a lack of density of landscaping, a lack of security and perhaps visual separation between the townhomes on the south and the east. You know, especially if you go to the east, this plan does show, you know, easy access to your pond from the residents right now, just based upon the drawing. I think there needs to be more secure for liability issues. So, you know, the residents doesn't think they have a fishing pond in their backyard now. So, and then I'd like to address any land, you know, you'll have to come back with a landscape plan, a detailed landscape plan for the final. And I'd like to see some more landscaping along Latson. Because right now, there
think
just
there's a
needs to
power
be a
line.
hedge and a couple trees. And perhaps you can show us a perspective of what your building's gonna look like from Latson. And back it up so that we can see the curb of Latson. So what the street view is and not just a pure elevation of the building.
Understood. We have some of that elevation,
Okay.
noted on all the elements, the landscaping along Latson Road specifically, we're a little limited. There's a large utilities that runs on our property. That we're not allowed to plant in.
Okay.
I think we can have ornamental grasses and certain types of plantings that are allowed, but in terms of deep rooted trees and plants, it's challenging to enhance that. We would have it, that's the first place we'd love to put them. But we'll take a look at all of these comments and try to figure out how best to address them.
Fire station and the Caliber Collision don't have significant landscaping out front because of the same reason, I imagine. Just wanted to say one more last thing on the landscape buffer. I think you're hearing the message. To me, it doesn't matter if it's a fence or additional supplemental plantings, just and what you just described as maybe incorporating shrubs or things of different elevation to screen better. I think would work. I just have concern for those residents. You know, they want to get some fresh air on their back porch, and this is what they see. So.
Yeah, but we should desire is I owe $190,000 fee for tree mitigation.
Yeah.
Which I would rather spend on our site, so I would
Right.
rather spend all of that in buffer.
Right.
I've got to balance that with our arborist, because I don't want to interrupt rezone grand trees that are
Right.
not disturbed. And so it's a puzzle that we need to put together and we can come back.
I think we're on the same page.
Work on that.
I did have a couple more side comments. That's okay.
What is the paving or
Yeah.
the surface of this area around the buildings? What are you proposing? Is it pervious, impervious? What is it?
Asphalt.
It's all asphalt.
It's all asphalt.
Yes, the tractor trailer loads require, specifically in the areas where trailers go, heavy duty asphalt. All of our stormwater systems are designed to handle the impervious. Seeing White Sox here to address that if there's further specific question.
We got ample water storage. Plenty of detention ponds.
Correct. We have two very large ponds. I think they're over.
Or retention.
So
You big ball.
You go down one sheet to the next site plan sheet. So see the gravel drive for fire access around the buildings. But it terminates at the southern end. Up here, it continues along the multi-use path to the property line. What's the purpose of that?
Trying to be respectful of natural resources, which is the stream and buffer zones, so there's a requirement of a greenway trail. So in lieu of having one greenway trail and fire path, we try to combine them to limit the impervious. And so the intent would be just to continue that 20-foot wide trail and make a larger trail for the benefit of the pedestrians, which would use it 99.5% of the time, and God forbid there's a fire department. So we try to combine the two.
Right, but why does the 20 feet continue to the property? Because on the other side, yeah. Okay. Right. Right. I was trying to understand if you were trying to provide fire access for the future to that northern parcel, or yeah, it sounds right. Like that could be eliminated, it seems like. And then other point regarding the material choice. I mean, I feel like it will look kind of, I don't think it will look great if you have a 10-foot asphalt path next to just a 10-foot gravel shoulder. So if there's, I mean, for the Rooms to Go project, we asked, I think they did like interlocking pavers or something for the fire access road. I think the idea of combining the two is great so that you don't have, 30 feet wide pavement, one for the fire lane, one for the multi-use path. But if you could just have that auxiliary impervious, or, I mean, if you're doing interlocking pavers, it wouldn't be impervious.
Asphalt path is already existing.
Right. But they still have to provide a 20-foot corridor for fire access.
So they're adding on to the width of gravel.
Right.
So what?
I just think it looks sloppy.
Yeah.
Noted, I prefer to go back because we have to interact with staff on what's allowed in 20-foot asphalt path. If we allow their pavers, we'd like to revisit that, but understand the concern.
Right. I think it would look better if you have something that is disguised as a fire access road instead of, oh, this is a fire access road. That's all I'm saying.
That's off your property, isn't it?
That's on the property, but within a buffer zone.
Okay.
Yep. Do you want to talk about the architecture of the buildings?
So we've made pretty significant changes to the last conceptual presentation. And what we've tried to do is to break the facade up for the ordinance. So we try to create scale, rhythm, and proportion. We've broken this up into sections that are more than 27 feet. I think the ordinance references 40 feet for roof variation. We've added roof variation. We've added 20 thin brick to the storefronts that would sit for the potential tenant. We've also added more glass along the storefronts. And lastly, we've added overhang over the windows that are similar to the style and look of the newest building 2 doors down from us. We try to match the context of the lastly, on the sides, we've added a brick band at the bottom, so the heavy materials are at the base of the building. We wrap that band around the side of the building. In the back, it is predominantly not the roofs. Which is a different facade that's on the next sheet. All of this material outside of the brick is tilt-up panel with different paint treatments. As you can see in the top left image, which is one of the sides, we've got the emulation of lap siding within that panel. It's cast into the panel, similar to Somerville Prep on Davies Bridge Road. We have also added some dimensional change as we go across the facade, so it doesn't look so long and it materially was broken up a little bit. I'll pause there and let you guys ask questions.
So was all the color differentiation just color differentiation, not material changes? It's all the tilt up?
Except for darker, brown, red material is pretty thin gray.
You don't have to happen to have a sample board, do you?
No, but I'm glad to bring one next time. If this is desirable and we have direct points to, we're happy to bring a sample.
How much articulation is there in the facades? You can see a lot of, you got, it looks like a lot, looking at this flat elevation, but I don't think there is any.
Articulation in which direction?
In and out of the facades. How flat are they?
Yeah, so.
Look like several planes here on this, but not a lot of difference in the plane.
Correct. These buildings come together kind of like a Lego block. I mean, no different than it brings to go the facility that was first. And the brick panels themselves are roughly 1 foot out, protruded out.
Okay.
We provided articulation in the roof line, which we've got about 3.5 feet.
Well, put visible, you can see it. It'll make a difference. There you go. You're showing them now. I think that's an adequate, in my opinion.
Say that again.
I think the articulation is adequate based on this.
I disagree. I mean, this looks, you said it, looks like rooms to go on I-26. I've seen this half a dozen times going to I-26 between here and Charlotte. It looks like every other spec building that's industrial based and does not look anything, in my opinion, like any of the other examples you use, like Caliber Collision or the fire department. I think it's uninspiring, to say the least.
We looked at other buildings in the Somerville area, shopping centers, BJ's, Baconsbridge School, Somerville Prep, rooms to go, other facilities that have very large fronts. These are all similar aspects, and this building of those. Yes, it does not mean a small 5,000 square foot retail center, but that's a different use.
But it sounds to me like you're having it both ways. You have to have it the way it's shown because it fits like Lego blocks, but that's also what we've done. So so basically you're not trying.
If we add more articulation in the building, it's not functional to the tenant. So we're going to be building a building in 2025 that is functionally obsolete. And we're trying to build a building that is aesthetically high quality, but is functional for the tenants. So tenants will actually want to come here when they're looking at a variety of buildings.
And I can appreciate that from a functionality standpoint, but in my opinion of what our role is, it's functionality comes into play after aesthetics. And from an aesthetic standpoint, driving down Ladson Road, this looks like it belongs on an interstate. Like you said, like the BJ's, like the rooms to go. I can't get behind something like this, particularly when your other two examples that you used in your packet don't look anything like this.
I like the way it looks.
I disagree, but that's just me. I'm one of, yeah.
He doesn't like the way it looks. How about the rest of it? Which one? Like the okay or not? Huh?
No comment.
I think it's too industrial. It certainly doesn't fit the context of the area. And perhaps it does, but you're not showing us the adequate rendering to convince us that this building belongs on that site. Again, that could be a rendering issue and not necessarily so I think what you need to do for final or for the next step is show us how this building and massing fits within the context of the site, of the street, of the access, of the parking, with the landscaping, with the wall, the security, the ponds. Because right now, it's out of context.
Can you provide more detail into what's
Well, it looks like, just based upon this one drawing, you know, that looks like a I'm just guessing for an 80-foot tall wall. I don't know if it is,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I'm just
one of the
using the
problems
car.
There's not a good looking building on Latson Road. There's not one single building on Latson Road. that
Well,
looks
they could
nice.
be the first.
They all look terrible. This looks much better. in my opinion.
So it looks like an 80-foot tall building, just based upon the cars. Perhaps it's not.
A height, got a clear height of 32 feet. There's a specific requirement in the ordinance that has a minimum height of 24 feet, which is unclear if that's the roof line and or the actual roof height. We have a parapet to screen all of the mechanical equipment. And then we've added roof variation. So we've tried to follow the minimum, and then what we wanted to do is be less tall than some adjacent buildings, the apartments, the hospital, the other big buildings on site. So we tried to create a delicate balance in the height itself.
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't belong in the low country Ladson Road corridor. Does this fit out near 26? Sure, I can see it with the stand-up concrete panels with some brick on the front. I don't think matches the Caliper Collision, which is next door. I'll give you the scale argument. I don't think it matches the fire station. I think even the Somerville prep that you used a significantly higher low country architect threshold to meet it with the board and batten and the white and the different things it used that I don't believe this even attempted to try. So in the grand scheme of things, for me, in an effort to move it along, I think we've given some guidance to go on with the site, like Peter had said, with the site and how it fits in Ladson Road, how it fits in the surrounding area. I don't disagree. This could be the first, but I do think there are other examples on Ladson Road.
Like the long wall. It looks like a mall. That wall.
It's bigger.
Right. And it kind of looks like, and again, those people who live there, that's my
If we
concern.
look at the fire station and Caliber Collision again real quick,
The people who live there are gonna see that long wall that looks like a mall.
well, that's what you get when you live in Latson Road.
Industrial bills. So
Well, I mean,
I know that's not to get out of jail. free,
Look at that.
but
no, but
Look how bad that looks. That don't look good.
they shouldn't need to put brick along the entire facade, that's.
but there's so many other uses.
look
There's so many other
close, but-
materials they could use in addition to the brick. It doesn't have to be completely brick. I agree with that, but in the true sense of, not that I believe in the form-based factor, but you can make it look however you want, still function on the inside on how it needs to for the end user. I don't subscribe to the whole having articulation in the front makes it unusable to future tenants. I think if you do it right, it can work.
Fine balance to the example we provided. I hear you guys in the context of the vacant brick road, it's further down in the package. Here's the example. So
That's the school.
we have the challenge of scale. We have a very long front of a building, which is common for all of the properties with this much frontage in the neighborhood. But there's nothing that's relatively new within the neighborhood. It's all old and there's no.
They all look bad.
Correct. Across the street is the most common industrial building, which is a sheet metal building. So this is the newest, most applicable, similar scale building within Somerville, which use tilt-up panels. All of that lap siding is formed into the tilt-up panel, just as we have prescribed. It's not actual lap siding. Secondarily, when they turn the corners, they go to a painted faux brick on their base. They have thin brick in very limited circumstances. They've reduced the brick to 40 foot. They've maxed out the sections and they're going with traditional white tilt-up panel everywhere else.
Let me just interrupt you because we're not here judging and evaluating the Prep Academy. But if you look at the height of this wall in picture number 1, you kind of see where the top of the window is. And then you can gauge how much the remaining wall is. If you look at your elevation, and do the same, sort of estimate, your wall appears to be a lot taller than this wall. And I don't know if that's true or not, but if you are showing us and defending your design based upon this example, it's not apples and apples. So again, perhaps it's your rendering, but I recall now that that was the number one personal comment I made during your conceptual design, that it's too massive. And you had the opportunity to break it up. I'm not saying reduce the size of the building because it's your building, it's your function, but you could have broken up the mass, whether it's vertically, whether it's horizontally, and you didn't, from what I see, acknowledge that. So I would say that the next step, and I think I'm hearing the board consensus that the wall is massive, it's the appearance. And you need to break it up somehow.
Are you, I apologize for, I don't mean to offend you. Are you the architect or engineer or just the developer? Okay. Is there a way we can talk to the architect to see what he can or she can do? Okay. That's fair. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't mean to, subject matter expert, I didn't know your background. I apologize. I think in an effort of time, we've talked about the site a little bit. We've talked about vegetation. We've talked about parking, maneuverability, reducing the greenway. The architecture needs, in my opinion, quite a bit of work. It sounds like that's somewhat echoed. This is preliminary?
Yes.
Preliminary.
Do we feel comfortable enough to move it forward to final based on these comments and hope or is there a red flag here?
Is there a motion that someone wants to make a recommendation?
I'd find another piece of property. I'm fine with it. I'm okay, but I'm the only one.
I think
So I'm one, got four
Okay.
others who don't like the project.
Does someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny based on the lack of low country architecture and detail, as well as the comments we mentioned on site design and improving to make sure that this actually fits in this neighborhood in terms of how it's laid out. Again, not commenting on the use, only commenting on the fact that we have some sensitive areas, stormwater areas, wetland areas, neighbors areas. We have a chance to make this really special on Ladson Road. Again, not have anything to do with the use, has everything to do with the look and the aesthetics.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those who want to,
Yes.
Terms of the process, like granting preliminary approval doesn't really.
It confirms that you are okay with the height scale and massing.
It has no bearing in the actual time.
I mean, if they came back and requested final approval and they had updated the architecture or addressed any of your concerns or questions, you could still grant final approval at that time. It's not required to have preliminary, that's just general framework of the process.
Yeah.
okay, so we have a motion for denial. We have a second for denial. So all those in favor of denying preliminary approval of this project, say aye.
Aye.
All those that get opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, so we have 3 ayes, 2 opposed. The ayes have it. So the preliminary was denied. Thank you.
All right, so we are moving on to new business. This is for 902 North Main Street, which is an existing vacant parking lot. Because the site is partially developed, staff did advise the applicant that if they wanted to request preliminary, they could. So that is the request before you tonight. I included the TRC comments. I am not going to read through all of them unless y'all need me to clarify anything. And I will hand it over to Mr. Abate.
Start. Thank you for.
I didn't catch your name and your role. Okay, thank you.
Becca, can you explain what there's 8 foot perimeter landscape?
Yes. And as usual, any section of chapter 8.3.5, which 0.5 is where the parking, perimeter parking and drive aisle areas requires that landscaping buffer. The DRB does have purview to grant leniency.
So this, unless they have a hardship, needs to be 8 feet on the left side, 8 feet on the right side. Right?
Yes.
Okay. This is a really tricky site to lay out.
Very narrow.
Yeah.
It's an eyesore currently, so
Yeah.
all metal. And trying to soften it up, that's why I pushed things back, but then I got a little bit of pushback trying to keep the buffer at the back, so I pushed it as much as I can, keeping the turning radius so that would work off the main street. So the board out.
I know it's a really tricky site to lay out. It's an eyesore currently. I think it's not fair to the people on both sides to reduce that 8 feet since they had to put it in. It seems like we're just putting way too much on this property that actually fits. Going all the way to the property lines, that's in a different, in my mind, that's in a different context when you have, say, a continual building like you'd have downtown, but these little, call them little out parcels or these little buildings in town, I don't think that was meant for this. I don't think I would support reducing those 8 foot buffers. There's also foundation planting that is typically done along these. There's no room for any foundation planting. So I don't know how this plan is going to work for me.
Right, to address the foundational plantings, there are planters on the front side.
But I'm talking even on the sides, on the long sides.
There's the planters, in front of, you see those square rectangles, the long rectangular doors.
About a foot wide.
Yeah, they're about
2 feet, 2 feet.
UCMX does not require foundation.
Okay.
So that's only the buffer perimeter and
I'm-
areas.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do like that,
Yeah.
you know, to have that and to soften, the building as well. And my proposal is also, you see that triangulated area in front of the porch area proposing, it would be, fine to also plant that out as well.
And
soften.
Why would there
Front
not,
side.
why would there not be, I think I know the answer, but why would there not be 2 curb cuts here instead of just the one, and you're really being dictated by that curb cut?
Okay, so, DOT only, the 100 feet, lot's not wide enough to have 2 curb cuts. So
There's only one existing right now.
Perfect.
Existing, yeah.
See, it is the existing curb cut, it's plenty wide, as a matter of fact, my proposal is actually.
Narrow a little bit. Yeah. I just don't think it looks appropriate for this part of town, especially downtown Somerville. It's too much development on the lot. I think it's just got too many constraints that aren't conducive to a, what should be the type of use, not type of use, but,
The functionality, the circulation.
function of this property. That's me, Justin.
I'm in agreement. I agree with you. It's an eyesore. As Becca mentioned, that there needs to be hardship to me, the stuff created. I think there's other things you can do to make the site functionality work better. For example, relocating, I don't know that you need 2 drive aisles double around the building. There's ways to do it. I've redesigned a Wendy's to meet standards where you couldn't have drive-throughs or pickup windows or ordering stations visible from the street. Obviously, if you don't have a drive-through lane, circulation around Wendy's, they're going to tell you they can't come. The one in High Point got built the way I designed it. So there's ways to do it. I think the problem here is, to Chris's point, it's a very narrow site. To add strain to your challenge, you have to use their prototype, I imagine. I imagine they're not going again.
That's narrowed.
Well, and that's to me a self-created hardship. You not being able to change the building footprint to fit the site, I don't believe is a hardship. I think that's not that's not willing to work with us to find a solution. That's telling us take it or leave it. So I'd echo that.
I'm skeptical, like,
I'm not you. Yeah.
Okay, so,
No.
and I mean, obviously I did the iterations to show that I tried to make this work.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I understand the difficulty of the site and the narrowness of the, you know, I was hoping that there would be something that we
You're given a challenge by a lot of different people, this board included. You're trying to make the best of it. I get it.
I'm also skeptical that a garbage truck can actually get around this site, even on this plan, with to get to that dumpster in the back. But Jared, do you have any other site related comments? Just starting at the end. Turn on your mic.
The concern is the 8-foot buffers along the perimeter and them not being provided. Right? That's what you're worried about.
Concern, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm biased because I really like Lee's chicken. So I would like for you to find a way to make this site work, but do I need to recuse myself?
Yeah.
I mean, you need the queuing lanes and you can't block the circulation. So,
the other version, that's exactly, if I could get rid of one lane, I'd be
yeah,
money, yeah.
unfortunately, I don't have any constructive comments.
Is the quantity of parking spaces that you're shown your absolute minimum?
Or the prototypical type of stuff, but it's also.
No, according to the city.
According to, yes, it's actually slightly just like one or two over.
You're only required to have a restaurant 3 spaces for 1,000.
Square feet.
That was one of the comments.
So I
So,
lose maybe 4 or 5.
so you can gain land by complying with the city parking requirements. You know,
It's not with.
Yeah, right.
Three,
let me just try to give you some ideas.
Yeah.
Certainly, you may have to get off the prototype exact shape. I personally, with everything we're trying to create today and in the future for Main Street, think that your restaurant should come closer to Main Street and engage with some pedestrian, bicycle, multimodal type of access that perhaps can even buy you more reduction in parking spaces. Then you can have a parking lot in the back, a turnaround in the back, and not be surrounded with 2 lanes of traffic. By pushing this up toward Main Street, having the existing curb cut be in and out, and circulating, and again, being creative about the ordering system being remote from the building, because you're not going to be able to do that and the pickup. Just ideas. Just ideas.
What is the width of the?
It's like you're backing into the prototype and trying to make the prototype work, and it doesn't work. But I mean, at the end of the day, let's be plain. In my opinion, it doesn't work. So you have to start with the site first, see, all right, what fits? This doesn't fit.
What's the dimension on these?
The issue here is obviously the buffering, landscape buffer. Okay. That's the key essential issue. I felt like both side yards, especially considering the swale right there is actually quite a large area of swath of land that's not going to be as unvisually prohibitive to kind of meeting the needs and green walls. My hope to kind of soften that side as well.
But it's not fair. It's not fair to them because they had to provide it. And what if those buildings are redeveloped and they go right up to the property line as well? It's not, I don't It's not right. It's just not right. Are there any other comments on site?
What are the widths of these drive aisles, like these dimensions?
The 13 at a 45-degree angle and parking angle would be 13 feet back out. I go at 12 feet for circulation, so 25 feet between the parking edge of the parking spaces to the base.
Does Somerville have any other angles besides 45 allowed? Like 60, 30,
Yeah.
like something that, or is it just 45 parallel perpendicular?
You can do any of them, but you don't have enough room to do it. Problem is the site's too small.
Right, but if you
You just can't skate that.
if you angle the parking more so or closer to parallel, you might be able to gain some feet. Obviously, you're not going to gain 16 feet, but
Lose parking.
But he's.
Normal.
he's
residence-
over parked right now. Is what I'm-
Normal restaurant standard is 10 per thousand. They're 3.5 per thousand or something like that.
Yes, we're
So they're already so low on parking, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and yeah,
That's
I,
No,
what
I
we're
got
doing.
that flipped around. I thought they had excess. I was.
and you have maybe 7 employees on shift.
probably 5 or 6.
All right, so 6 parking spaces are taken. Right, you've got 9 parking spaces for customers. Not enough,
No, it's not.
not enough.
It's not enough parking.
No.
The ordinance precludes having enough parking.
It doesn't work.
It don't work.
I mean, I'm trying to just be plain and direct and not beat around the bush. For me, it doesn't work.
It don't work.
I think with such a consensus of it being a too tight of a site, you made a valiant effort. I mean, I'll give you credit on that one. You tried, and we appreciate you going through the ringer. But I think at this point, with such site changes, is there any reason to go through architecture?
I think the right side, you might be able to get by with what you got for a buffer because of your drainage ditch on the other side. But going to 0 on the left side, that kills the deal. That's just doesn't work. Just don't work.
Yeah, I'm close on, so at the point where the parking is kind of inset, they're about 7 feet, roughly 6.5 feet. But the one corner is right on the line, right? And then the other side.
You'd have to go on someone's property to build this. That's not, it doesn't work. And again, you did a great job. You try, I mean, you know, skinned as tight as you can, but I get it. Sympathetic to that, but doesn't work.
I think a different prototype, we're talking about different things.
You
Obviously.
can't get much smaller than what they got.
Well, I mean,
It's tight.
Cookout doesn't have any indoor seating. I know that's not what their model is, but what I'm saying is he's between a rock and a hard place. The rock being us because the site doesn't fit, a hard place being his client who says this is the model you have to use.
They bought the site.
It doesn't meet the code.
Good, tell them don't.
There was a contingency.
Yeah, they need to, that's good. They need to find out.
To Justin's point, I don't know if we really need to go. If
No,
this site doesn't
there's no
work,
point.
so.
The only comment I would make on the prototypical architecture, that I don't believe it fits the vision of low country architecture in Somerville. So if you do plan on trying to make this site work, you may want to address the architecture also.
You could jack your building up 10 feet and drive under
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, so if you come back with a different solution or whatever, prototypical architecture is just not, that's what this board is formed.
I'm not, yeah, at least it, we're going by it. That's all. So
Gotcha.
You've done everything you could do. I mean, you just,
I can design you anything. It was just a matter of
you just can't do it.
making sure that we can at least you know, make this, if it doesn't work, then my response to them is, let's find something else.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather tell you now than
Which is where I'm at, right?
just,
Rather than me spending all the money
right.
and time, your time and efforts too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather.
Agreed. Yeah. Thank you so much. We need to make a vote.
Do you want to withdraw or do you want us to vote on this?
Actually, I want you to vote so that
Okay.
my client sees that I did my best.
Okay, I make a motion to deny preliminary approval for this project based upon it just doesn't fit onto the site.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the denial, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, next is Old Light Road Apartments.
All right.
As you're coming up, make sure that you announce who you are, what your role is in the project. Should have done that earlier, so thank you.
So this is new construction of a multifamily development off of Holiday Drive. They are here for conceptual review. They have gone through their TRC review. They are aware of the requirement to evaluate significant trees on the site and provide that evaluation with to our town arborist. One suggestion was that the site appeared slightly overparked. I know there's been some changes since TRC, but as this is a conceptual review, I don't have any other comments other than looking to create pocket parks, amenity areas wherever possible, including the stormwater detention pond, considering bulkheads, walking paths, and benches. And I will hand it over to the applicant.
My name's John Dangerfield. I'm with Dangerfield Engineering and Surveying. We're the civil engineers on the project. Got Jonathan Schrader. He's the underrepresented for Middleburg Communities. Mark Ward with File. And he'll talk about architecture. I'll talk about the site. The site is located at the southeast corner of Holiday Drive and Old Plain Road. 362 unit multifamily development consisting of apartments and townhomes. We have met with the TRC for conceptual TRC, and as Becca pointed out, they did recommend looking at additional green space, walkways around the detention ponds, and pocket parks. We have natural directions looking at the trees and doing a tree report. What we're really doing is waiting to get that report and meet with the town arborist to determine what trees they want us to try to isolate some trees to save. This tract was a merchantable timber tract, meaning it was all loblolly pines. That's predominantly what it is. I've walked every tree in that site. There's a lot of trees that are right there around that 15-inch to 20-inch range. There's a lot of pine trees that are under it, but they're all predominantly loblolly pines. There are a few multi-stem red maples. There's a lot of multi-stem red maples. Look like when they went through and did a thinning, you had the trees that came back out of the stump. And once you add those averages up, it's right over the 15. So it's a little bit different site. The site is lower. So the site does need to be graded and brought up. We have a wetland determination. There are no wetlands on site, but the site.
Thank you for that introduction. Can you talk about why you located the buildings where you did. I know you got townhomes on, I don't know, I can't see the street label on that, but Sheep Island.
Oh, Sheep Island. Sheep Island, Old Light is
So
on the south.
why'd you locate the townhomes there? Why'd you put the amenity there? You know, why did you put the other buildings where you put them?
Really, the footprint of the building that get the amount of park.
For what it's worth, 1.47 seems very reasonable for apartments.
Let me just ask a quick question on the zoning. You mentioned it's GB, so all this residential is allowed on GB district?
And everything around, the reason they only have a 5-foot buffer, and I actually confused myself on this to begin with, because there are apartments up, they're up here where my-
You can see the adjacent apartments on the plan, on right hand side, plan right, you can see the footprint of those apartments that back
But
up.
that is also zone GB. Require the additional buffering that you would typically see. That product.
You know, kind of where we're heading.
All right, anyone have any initial site comments?
I think most do.
I think it looks good generally speaking as well. The only comment I have is just the amenity area with the pool. It's right at the entrance, which makes sense, but you're saying it's across the street from the car dealership, right?
It's forever that roundabout is like. Roundabout comes in off all the way around and all that. It's gonna. It feels nice there because you can put some walking paths around the tension pond and kind of create a nice kind of.
So so the amenity area was cited based on the vicinity to the pond. It was the thought process.
Ponds are nice for walking.
Entry, just from the Berkeley County perspective, we needed to offset that entry as far from the roundabout as we could. And that's what we're in the process of getting the traffic impact study based on. That was the preliminary discussions.
Just to add to that, I mean, again, this is an advisory comment, not going to require y'all to do this. I know you put a bunch of thought into the way the layout is, but I think in this triangular central area where the dog park is, if that maybe was your main amenity space, your residents are going to come in through this entrance and they're going to arrive at that, like that sense of arrival at the main amenity space instead of coming into the site and then turning immediately to try to get to the pool. But those are just my advisory thoughts.
Parking lot. Parking along the.
So is there a leasing office as part of the amenity space?
Lease office.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right there in the form.
Gotcha.
What's your mitigation idea to minimize this internal triangle of parking to look like a huge parking lot for a commercial project? Because right now, everything is flat in that entire triangle. Do you see what I'm saying or no?
Thought we were breaking up, instead of one big triangle parking lot, you have a dog park, they'll kiosk, and all that green stuff.
But everything is flat. Well, any idea to,
Landscape.
Yeah, the areas right there by the mail kiosk, those are fairly large landscape islands. If you can just think each one of the little internal islands, those are 10 feet wide. So that island between the mail kiosk, that long linear island, that's 10 feet up at the top, but then it extends to, that's probably close to, those gaps are 30 feet. So there's some pretty large islands. And then even in the internal, where you turn into the mail kiosk, those islands are wider. They're around 15 feet. So we're trying to, introduce tree islands, then the internal landscape islands are much wider than what they actually need to be as well. And then we're even looking at ideas to introduce even more green space as decorative.
so I hope that you're trying to create a neighborhood feel, a residential feel versus a parking lot feel. And if that is what your vision is, please bring the renderings, the drawings, the landscape plans, adding some color so that, it's apparent to us in the next submittal. Since this is conceptual, right? But exactly. And also, you have a very long street or alley. Again, I don't know what that is on the bottom. Is that an alley? Is that a street? So again, do you envision it to be residential or so only half?
Back and front. Or exits out. Where they walk out and the front yard.
I think we have seen a lot of residential subdivisions that had perhaps the number of units that you had, but more successfully broke up the parking in the streets and to make it more manageable and more less as a thoroughfare for fast cars and more for kids to play on or adjacent to, and some pocket parks and where do you throw the ball as opposed to going to a central area just to be able to go outside your door and do something. So I think a lot of pocket greenways, again, it's not apparent. So this is we're just giving you feedback that if you could do that, I think that would tell a story better.
I think something Peter's saying, my concerns are there's are some elements of it's a little racetracky, like the townhomes. That's how long is that with center line to center line or driveway to driveway, you think? Just approximate. Well, let's count parking spaces.
That's not
108, 216,
something.
3 something. Yes,
Like feet.
no, it's probably 600, 650.
Yeah.
From center line to center line. That's longer. That's about a block and a half of downtown Somerville. One of the great things about particularly the Nexton apartments, and that's kind of the standard right now, is they break up the parking lots a good bit. They don't have long stretches of run. I think that 650 feet or so is too long of just a straight stretch where people are just going to floor it. Someone's backing out of their townhome and then you got another car going 35 miles an hour just past it, or someone on their bike. It seems like wouldn't be a good thing. And then if you go above the two building twos, it's kind of the same thing. It's probably 500 feet or something, but it's still a little racetracky right there. And then if you that's 2 bays of parking, you could run a landscape strip that would divide those 2 bays in half and put canopy trees in there. I know you've seen it, there's a dog run, it's pretty small. There's not, doesn't seem like there was an emphasis on creating great spaces with pocket parks like Peter talked about, or, you know, amphitheaters or places for people to go somewhere you can throw a you know, ball with your child. I think it hasn't really been an amenitized site. This looks more like a lot fit study, as opposed to, all right, let's really create a neighborhood. Because at the end of the day, this is a neighborhood. It's not just apartments. I think there's could be a little bit more eye for detail, like question. And I know this is all conceptual, and y'all are trying to go big picture first. I get that, but I want to give you some direction moving forward, though. When you come in off the driveway from the north, you have to take a hard right into that little 6-bay parking space. I think that could be a challenge to get in there. I mean, you could actually eliminate having to pull into the parking space and just have parking spaces. So you could eliminate 40 or 50 feet if that parking lot were gone. Instead of coming into the parking lot, just pull into parking spaces, if that makes sense. That would create a little bit more open space. I think the separation between the curb or sidewalk and building face generally around the site is it's not bad. But I don't think you're overparked based on the units, because like I said, 1.47 is pretty industry standard. I just like to, it doesn't look like a community where people would want to go outside, you know, and, you know, there's not a park nearby. The parks need to be in here. You know, I think the dumps, looks like the trash compactor that's kind of on the center line of that road on the right. Really wouldn't want that on the center line. I know it's got to be functional, but that's your terminal. It was just probably not going to be a good looking view when you pull into the site and the first thing you see at the end of the road is that spare enclosure. It's very functional, but aesthetically it's probably not in the right spot. And then what is to the right of that? Is that a car wash station or something? Pump station? Okay, well that is where it is on that thing.
Yeah, there, you lift station on site, there's not gravity sewer available, so that's.
Yeah.
You're trying to tuck away as far as good.
Sure.
We've also seen other developers get more creative with their stormwater management area. You know, we've seen developers put in docks so that at a minimum, a trail around it, a structure that engages with the water, assuming that they calculated it's going to retain water. So right now yours is just off to the side doing its functional thing, but it's a big piece of land. And, you know, having it near your amenity center, you could probably easily incorporate it as part of your amenities to get a little more creative.
Might consider, and y'all know the building, but might consider the amenity building, building 5, flip-flopping that. So the pool's on the road. Yeah, Jared.
I was just going to piggyback off of what you were saying, Chris, where I think that pull-off area, if you just eliminate it and continue the bay of parking, that could work. And then take building 5 and the amenity center, flip it along the long axis so that you've continued the strategy of putting your buildings along the perimeter of the site, which you've done on all your other property lines except that one. And you will also be screening that amenity space from the car dealership on the other side of the road.
And you might even consider taking those 2 building 2s on the horizontal there, moving them to the road so it kind of completes the road, and put the amenity center in the middle of the site where the triangle is. You know, that way the amenities in the middle of the whole area for everybody to go to. Right now you kind of have to walk through the building, and maybe you intend for people to do that. But I would rather have those 2 buildings along the street than internal, and I think if you brought that building 5 down into the center of the site, I think it's going to open up a lot of open space possibilities, maybe the park, these little pocket parks or whatever they are. can be a little bit bigger or more intentional. I think actually, I think you might need to restudy the site plan. Really. Yeah. Consider moving buildings. I think it's bigger than just, you know, moving some parking spaces around. I think you ought to reconsider the site. Really. Just my thoughts. I mean, obviously I haven't put pen to paper to try to figure it out, but it's just, if you look at Nexton, they've got great open spaces within their multifamily developments. And these are, on this case, it's kind of the open spaces were thought of last instead of first. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to be overly critical. It's just, yeah. Maybe the stormwater can move. I know it's probably got the discharge on the left-hand side, but you know, maybe there's a different way to do that. If bring it over and pipe it to that area, maybe the amenity center and the stormwater is in the same kind of spot. And then you pipe it over to the left.
And I'll just add, I don't think you need to, I mean, from Chris's opinion is that you need to reconsider the whole site. I don't know if you necessarily need to reconsider everything, but I think bringing in a rendering next time that like highlights some of these, you know, I'm seeing a lot of just there are pocket park areas, and then there are areas that could be pocket parks. And I think if you just paid some, you know, more attention to detail in those kind of dead space areas, that might go a long way towards satisfying what the board is asking for.
Any other comments on site?
Do you have any questions on site? You want to show us the architecture? Get our
One other
feedback.
thing on the site is I would,
Sorry.
no, you're good. You got some internal sidewalks. I like that. It's great. They don't go anywhere. For example, the Mayo kiosk, it's appreciative that I don't know why it goes down that drive aisle and just kind of ends, but it does connect to the handicap accessible. So that's fantastic. I just wish it would kind of connect more internal to the site, the buildings surrounding it. Same goes with the dog park, but to a lesser extent, the dog park doesn't even connect to, I mean, you've got it on one side of the triangle, but you don't have it on the other two. And I'm curious on why, particularly since there doesn't appear to be any kind of handicap accessible or connection to the clubhouse. So just like Jared said, maybe a little bit more thought to detail, but I agree with Chris that this could be really cool if it just kind of moves some of the chess pieces around, keep the same buildings. I think the number of units, I think the number of buildings for me work. You have plenty of space. I think massaging it is key. The pool area next to the major road always irks me because I drive by the one on 17A where I cannot imagine those people enjoying. I mean, I sit through 17A and 50 dead. What was that road? 78? No, 176. 176 and 17A. I sit through that light 3 times and I see the same people at the pool. I mean, that's got to be, I don't know, that's just weird. But that's just me. I don't live in apartments anymore. So other than that, though, we're close. I'm glad we fixed that microphone because earlier I couldn't hear anybody, but now I can hear you, Mr. Dangerfield, like clear.
That was perfect. Loved it. Can't hear, but I'm loud.
All right. Y'all want to go architecture a little bit, or big picture ideas? What inspired you to do what you did? How it ties in up with the low country?
Yeah, sure. First, my name is Mark Gordon. I'm with Klein, as John said. You know, to start with, Becky, you can go to any of the first one. So this is building type. I can't read it, but I think it's one of the long buildings that you saw. And the materials are, as you can see, it's all hardy material. Board and batten, siding. 4-story apartments. Condensers are on the roof in order to free up space on the ground and minimize the noise on the ground. The idea, and they will be screened. And in this elevation, the screen is to act as a cornice. And admittedly, I think the screen could use a little bit more help. Just to act more as a cornice. It doesn't need to be expensive. Really simple materials. We can dress that up to make it look a little bit more like a cornice. The center got the base of the blue part in the center is the entry. One of the entries. We also have entries on the ends. And then accented on either end of the building
with the hip roof and a little bit of, difference in the siding. It's a typical end of the building, how the corner of see how the corner of the building, and then accent the center, entry where the stairs, exit stairs, and entries are. Let's see.
I'm sorry, I didn't pick up on it. On this elevation, are the main entries into the building in the middle where that black awning is?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thank
The
you.
enter, the exit stairs and secondary.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. And so the bottom image is one of the L-shaped buildings. So building type 5. And the top is the back side of that building. So you're facing one end and the long sides. That's why it looks a little funny. So you look at the top image, just to the top, just to the right of the 4-story, looks like cable roof. See the corner, those are the condensing units, and those are in the corner of the building. You might go back to the site plan really quick. Try to hide.
I think we get the concept.
No, that's fine, they got it. These are pretty much identical, so I'm not gonna bore you with the rest of them. Let's go, can you go to the townhomes? So the image at the top are the townhomes that you see from Bold Light. That's from the street side. The image at the bottom are the garage sides, which are internal to the site that you're gonna face the apartment. And this is conceptual.
Yep.
Be brutal. I want feedback.
Okay.
It's good.
Hit him, Tommy.
You don't mind, I'm gonna sit down.
You go back to the 4-story. I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing but windows and it's a lot. And so, and it looks flat. Now I know there might be some variation in there, but there's just like, I don't know how to help with that. There's just like window after window after window. It just is not appealing to the eye at all. And looks kind of hotelish, not apartment. So that's just, again, my view. Others can ring in here, but.
No, you're on your own.
But it needs, and we always say this, we need to look at some things, we need to look at some architecture to make it look a little bit, again, not like the flat side with just a window, a box and a bunch of windows. And that's basically what I'm seeing here.
Have you,
One else ring in.
have you built this building somewhere else that you have pictures of? Because
Yeah. And we can provide, this is modeled. So we
Yeah.
can provide renderings in 3-dimensional.
perfect.
That's what I was about to ask. Would a 3D model help you? I feel like there is differentiation, but from this
Me
you
too.
can't tell. Yeah, it's different.
But say I like that
You
because
got your porches, and your porches take care of what she's talking about. The
that's.
porches take care of what she's talking about,
Yes, sir.
but you can't tell from this drawing.
Still, for me, that porch is not gonna take care of what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. God bless you.
No, it
It
won't.
will.
Yeah.
It'll do
Put that in the notes. No, it won't.
We can certainly provide
Keep breaking.
3-dimensional
It's a curtain.
images and renderings.
That will help me though,
Absolutely.
for sure.
And contextually site connection as well.
I think there is a lack of regional detailing on these buildings.
You're right.
You know, again, it's hard to tell what your thoughts are. This is only conceptual, so
Looks like-
more regional architecture around windows is a very heavy trim piece. A lintel above, a sill below, but very heavy, not traditional, just brick moldings or whatever. Brackets, you know, you showed a couple brackets on a couple of cantilevered awnings. But your roof, there's always the roof building connection that the overhang could be a lot more dramatic with a lot more brackets shown. You can, you know, right now, this looks like a dormitory or like Tammy said, more of a hotel. You should take a look at undulating this roof up and down, not just continuous 600-foot roof. You know, you should break up that roof into more managed, you know, whether it's dormers, whether it's something. But right now, it just is too institutional. And what we're trying to convey here is this does look like any other apartment building in Somerville. Now, if that's what you want to achieve, you know, but that's not what we want to hopefully steer you toward. We want to steer you toward creating a unique neighborhood in Somerville, in this area that people would want to flock to. And they want to be identified with your neighborhood. So that's why a little details, a little architecture, a little in and out, a little bay windows, some porches, some details, some lighting, different materials. Certainly these sheds at the end designating exits doesn't cut it. You know, it actually cheapens the appearance in my perspective. And everything I'm suggesting is almost ornamental.
Does anybody have, I'm going to ask this question. We all look like you pay attention to design and know what you're talking about. Thoughts on the organization of siding issues as it relates to massing proportions, anything like that?
Usually there's a more substantial base and a lighter middle. And, you know, the roof. Right now, you're just bringing the siding to the ground, which again is typical of a
masonry water tables.
Yeah, we advocate for a lot of brick. When I say a lot of brick, I mean on a lot of projects. So I don't think we're saying you need to make this, take brick up to the top floor or something like that, but we are very receptive to brick, particularly at main entrances where the pedestrians are, you know, they're going to be walking right there. It's a very familiar material for this area. I think that, and I know it's hard to tell on this, but it's not obvious to me where that front door is, like I kind of talked about earlier. It almost looks like just some windows were taken out, they put a door there. Versus kind of celebrating that entrance. So I think if you had a more attention to detail at those entry points, whether the middle of the building or the ends of the building, that would probably go a long way. We're big on usable porches. You know, if these are all like 4-foot porches, it's probably not enough just to have a little chair out there, and they need to be something people would actually sit on. And I think it's a mechanical yard at the top middle. Is that a mechanical yard kind of, or is that like a
Yes.
plaza that people go to? Okay, so it's not accessible space for people. Okay.
Even the window vernacular that you're using, just a simple window. Regional architecture has 4/4 panes.
Or
You know what I'm talking about?
Or 1/2. You see that a lot.
Or whatever.
Downtown.
But certainly a divided light versus what you have.
Put some button bars in.
And I think, can we go to the townhomes as well? I think I think the townhomes are one of the most important elements on this project because of where they are and their proximity on that street. This again doesn't look like regional architecture. I would see this, and when I say region, I mean low country region. I'll see this building from here all the way to Mississippi, right? It's maybe it's southern regional, but specifically low country. This doesn't look low country. So it would have bigger overhangs. It might have a metal roof, or maybe the metal roof is on over the garages, or both, or the entries. Typically, we would see brick. I could see maybe a kind of a brownstone feel here instead of, I don't know what you would call this, but instead of that, maybe it's a brownstone instead of
No brownstone.
kind of this gable thing. Or maybe there's some, we would not really be receptive to say bricking the front, but the rest is hardy or something like that. It's usually if it's brick, you know, around the whole thing.
Certainly some exposed rafter tails.
Yeah.
Would be easy.
Increase the overhead.
Again, it's details.
Anything you know, things that can make it look.
More detail and refinement on the garage doors, so it doesn't look like your standard garage door. I mean, there have been some great apartments built lately, both in Nexton and on Daniel Island, that are just stellar. Maybe they're price points, but and these townhomes don't have, there's no usable porches. You could, I mean, I'm just kind of throwing ideas out, but you could have the top elevation, maybe you actually have real porches on them, at least on the ends or something. Daniel's Orchard is a great example of townhomes here in town that you could go look at. And we've been
Daniel's Orchard.
Daniel's Orchard. It's on Highway 78, so it's 4 blocks away or so. It's got porches that wrap around the end units, and they're probably 10 feet deep. They look great, and it helps really create that street. Right now, I would also really be interested in what the street looks like along here, meaning let's see the buildings with the landscaping and how the sidewalk comes out, and really creating that streetscape versus just popping the buildings on the street. You know, it really needs to engage in that entire space between the building and the right of way or edge of pavement needs to be designed. On this, would you think the roof heights should change?
I think so.
I think there needs to be varied articulation across the face of these townhome buildings, because if you're going to keep them where they are on the site plan, it's, you know, that 700 plus linear footage along the road. And what we're seeing here is a copy paste of 2 adjoining units, just, you know, across the unit cluster.
I think there's a great opportunity. I'm not giving you anything tangible, but to have exceptional architecture at this location. This is a huge, very prominent location for Somerville. You know, I think this is kind of prototypical, and I get it. This is conceptual, right? But you know, porches, different roof, different elements. Maybe there's brick. Just more refinement, or not refinement. I think elevate the details beyond what they are.
Are these townhomes for sale?
Yeah, with the sanitary sewer, because it's gonna be a private lift station, because there's no gravity sanitary sewer, it will remain a single product where that's police.
Gotcha. Okay. Believe it or not, what also one of the details that is challenging is where the electrical meters are. So if, you know, you've got the end units here that are super prominent at the road, and there's 30 electrical units on that end, we need to at least acknowledge where those are. And
Same thing with the condensing units for these buildings. You took care of the apartments. Just show it. Just show it.
And if you have,
That's not because they're clustered on the park.
okay. And,
Yep.
you know, I know submitting to DRB can be challenging sometimes just because of the format, but if you have 3 examples you've used elsewhere and hey, we think this is kind of doing what you're saying, I think we're all open to looking at those different examples, even if it's a picture.
Okay.
And then you say, well, we like this. This was our inspiration and here's how we modified it to fit Somerville. We're used to looking at precedent boards and that sort of thing. And what we've told some other recent buildings is go around town and particularly in the residential area, which is right over here, and look at how they detailed some of the bigger old houses and incorporate that into the buildings, even if it was the 4-story commercial at near 500 Main. And they came back, the architect spent a couple hours or half a day doing that, came back with a great solution. So I think it's doable. Sure. Right. They're just conceptual. Any other comments? Any other questions you all have or concerns or needed something else out of us? Well, how much time you got?
Good pages and notes.
It's getting later in the night.
It's Christmas. So, okay. Anybody else? All right. There's no vote for conceptual. So, appreciate your time. See you next year. All right. Take care.
All right, our last item of the evening is 120 Fred Street. This is an existing apartment complex development. This is an infill project. They are adding another building. To go over the brief TRC comments, a trash enclosure must be provided. I think this conceptual does show roll carts. Just consider switching to a single dumpster with an enclosure. Landscaping requirements of 8.5.2 will need to be met, as well as the park space, which I believe you guys addressed on your site plan. And then staff, there are some existing sidewalks over there, but they're inconsistent. So we advise that staff would be happy to work with the applicant to figure out what would be appropriate there. And Chris, you're back up.
Here. Well, I think I'll get.
Can you go to the, anyone want to talk about architecture? And we'll go to site after.
Becca, can you go to the long elevation? So this is not very inspirational. I think, we're hoping to create some inspirational architecture. Is there a reason why you just went with a simple box?
The, let me really use the context around, but everything around it is pretty simple and brick. And, the apartments are 480 to 500 square foot. It's not, they're not super large. And so we really just kept this, that long side, that's up to what a couple back in the photos. Right there. It's up to, well, it's right there, that apartment right in the middle of that, the back goes to that one, and then that long side faces the end of the red brick wood there. It's more or less just a attempt to kind of keeping things simple.
And this is at the end of a dead end street, isn't it? Or
Yeah, right by that turn. Right, yeah.
takes a left there. Okay.
I think the architecture is too simple, even though I understand the logic. But, as an architect, as a designer, you should be challenged with the program and trying to do the best architecture possible versus just giving in to what it is. I think the owner and occupants would want to see that too. That would be my main comment. It's very plain.
Is this the side that's parallel to the street?
No, the short end is of the L is parallel to the street. There you go.
That.
Up to the top.
That's the parking lot.
Right there. That's the one that fronts the street.
That's the street. Okay.
That is with the inspiration.
So you didn't even correct. Can you go back to the long elevation? Okay,
That's the back of it.
They're not facing.
right.
That'd be the back of the building, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, bay windows, something that simple. Is that cost prohibitive to the owner? Is that what you're dealing with?
Well.
Are you the owner?
No.
Okay,
You can build bay windows. But, out of the chute, we're just, either trying to keep things.
That as it is, it kind of looks like a mobile home. Right? It just does. I mean, I get very lack of anything else. I understand it's the back, but it still looks like I'm behind. Now, here's where I struggle. It's because you've got this compared to what's existing, and I totally understand that. But then again, as Peter said, we're trying to move forward. So we want it to look the best that it can look, but that unfortunately, I don't care if it's the back of the building. That does not look.
But nobody sees it.
If I live there, I see it.
No.
I'm just.
If you live there, you would live in that brick building next to it.
Well, all right. So the apartment folks just came up and we say it every time, usable porches. These have no porches. Is that, I mean.
Yeah, I'm certainly happy to talk with the owner about any of this. I mean, that's why we're here to kind of work through.
Well, we look at the dominant elevation, which is the front elevation in the street. That's what people are gonna see. And that's broken up pretty well with gables.
Again,
Let the board and bad decide. So
Is the house, the existing home, I think it's homeowner's residence, or the owner, is it to the left?
Yes.
So the side so when you're driving up that road that curves, that's what you're gonna see. And then we also need to see what it looks like from the right-hand side.
So, okay, go back to the photos for a second. Okay, there we go. That is the house next door up in the upper left corner.
Yep.
And so that drive basically is parallel with the drive that enters the property. And so if you go to the last picture there, that, no, I'm sorry, the last, render. Don't show Peter that one. And so that. That is what the house next door is.
But am I standing in this street? Where's the street?
Street's to the right. The entrance to that parking lot is to the right. Off the street. So that the little corner element on the right side of that elevation is the corner element on the left side of that street elevation.
The other apartment building is back here.
Right.
see,
Right, there's a brick apartment building to the back.
Oh.
They were built, I think in the 80s.
I wanna know what I'm looking at when I'm coming down Cedar Street. Well, I come down Cedar Street, take
Down here.
the right, and then come down Fred Street.
Rendering the couple. That one down one.
Number 221.
That is,
That's,
as you
Towards Fred.
come from Cedar to that turn in the road, that's what you
okay.
is it Cedar or Pine Street?
Well, Cedar, you turn left at the other apartments.
Right.
And then head down there.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you're demoing the existing.
There's not an existing building.
Yeah, the site.
Oh, it's going into dead space.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Vacant area.
Bucket.
And obviously you didn't want to repeat the same kind of two-story ranch. Good.
So there's where I'm at.
But the elevation that everybody's worried about would be visible if you're coming down 7. Is that correct?
No,
Well, you mean from the other side?
yeah,
From planning.
Yeah, Cedar's to your right.
Yes, you,
Yeah.
once you get past the other buildings and the cars parked in front of them, you would see the side.
Right, when you
That's not sure.
I'm like, it's just not
drive down West 7th and see that lane out.
correct.
Would it be better to flip the L?
I mean, if we're concerned about the neighbors in the house, flipping the L probably wouldn't be great. But we're happy to look at it.
Where's the property line along 7th? Is this building on the property line
Yes.
and that's permitted?
So that's.
So there's no yard requirements
So this is their open space, but no, you're talking about, does it have to have a front yard? No.
or a side yard?
It's got a big.
It has to meet the open space requirement, which they're utilizing the space.
Right.
So this building is a lot closer than anything else on that street.
Yes, you can see the neighboring buildings.
Yeah. Is that intentional by the design team, or is that because you have to meet some ordinance of getting the building all the way up to the right away?
No, I think they were more or less trying to maximize. And like I said, the parking, the house, I'm sorry, the apartment next door, just some trees up there at mid street, and also all the parking is up on the street. So, so basically you would go by the parking and then.
that corner.
Well, if I lived in the house next door, I'd rather see the back of the building than the parking lot.
And it looks like,
I mean, it depends on,
Even though the building looks better from the parking lot side. I'd still rather.
but
see
the other
back of the
buildings, do they park on the lot somewhere? Or they park in the street?
park lungs. Well,
There's that
street parking.
pull off, the big birds. Yeah, they park in the right of way.
Yeah.
It's 100 foot right away.
Yeah, so why do you need to park on the street, on the lot here? Or do you want to?
Parking requirements, they, not downtown mixed use where they don't have to provide parking.
Even though all the other buildings did not.
I don't know when those buildings were.
80s.
But no. And so my whole point, we're talking about who can see what. It really doesn't matter who can see what for me. That if anybody lives there, the design is not where it needs to be. So it doesn't matter if we're talking about the brick ranch house next door, or if you're talking about the brown box that's already there, that's been there forever. The design is just, it can be better. Regardless of what you
think all 4 elevations are not good.
I don't think that that's all not good. I'm just saying that we're spending time on talking about what we can see, but I think the bottom line is we all agree that the
Well,
architecture could be
I think
better.
all the elevations look fine except for the back.
But it still could have some more, the other elevations still could have
Not much.
more detail.
They got plenty.
And again, that's just one person's opinion.
No, I think it could be more inventful.
Thank
Somebody mentioned bigger porches.
Right.
Something like that.
What would you suggest?
Porches.
Porches.
I think if this building, if none of this stuff was around here. And they were buying a lot and putting an apartment there, one little apartment, this wouldn't get approved. At all.
Right.
And it lacks sophistication and refinement, and maybe. It's not there.
Okay.
That's not a reflection on
So.
you. It's.
It's,
He didn't say trailer.
Huh?
He didn't say double wide.
I didn't say, I said mobile.
He's far away from me where I don't have to worry about getting hit.
Mobile.
So,
Mobile,
well, I agree that it is, it's probably, it is very simple. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily locate it on, Main Street. This is no traffic surrounded by 80s brick buildings with even less character. So.
I think one day those buildings are not gonna be there anymore.
None of us already.
Right, that's true. But, I think
It doesn't,
It's-
we have a job to do here and our job is to.
I don't understand this park either. Why you consolidated all the green space where you could actually spread it out and make the overall much nicer than just saying, I'm gonna build to the property line, I'm gonna put all the green space in the center. Who's gonna use it? What is it for? Is there a function?
Ownership is the same in it, Chris.
What's that?
The people that own the brick apartments own this building too, right?
Yes.
So I mean, the property lines are all owned by the same people. Ownership.
for now,
Well, yeah, for now.
Said one of
To
the
your
buildings.
point, I think that the green space is more likely to be used by the City apartments than a front yard on the street.
fair. All right, this is conceptual.
Sure.
I think we've said, doesn't quite fit in, needs refinement, elevation of architecture. So it's,
I think this needs to go to a committee.
it's hard to rally behind it.
A committee of one.
It's hard to rally around and go, yes, that's what I like on that building. So I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily clear direction, but it's,
No, I mean,
all right. Any other comments? Okay, thank you so much. All right, Becky, you have anything else? Merry Christmas. All right, all those in favor of